welcome back to the Game Smash Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Room Liberty, and with me is...
Boaz Muhammad Yusuf.
And today, it's E3, baby. It's our wonderful time of the year in which we talk about all the E3 announcements and the conferences and so on and so forth. And, so we're going to be covering EA's conference, Microsoft's conference, Bethesda's conference, we're gonna maybe briefly talk about Devolver and PC, and then we're gonna go on to Ubisoft, Sony, and Nintendo. So we're not even gonna talk about what we played this week because there's too much to cover. We got tons of ground to cover, but let's start out with the first one. EA. So EA started off. Battlefront 2, I think looks solid. I think it's like they showed off, the Naboo map, and, they showed off, third person. They showed off droids, which I'm glad are back, because I actually kind of like the droid faction in Battlefront 2, so yeah. I was glad to see. But one of my friends pointed out, no droidicas. Because droidicas are one of the cooler things from the prequels, in my opinion, so I was a little bit bummed that it's oh, come on, there's no droidica class? Come on, guys.
I mean, maybe they haven't revealed them yet. Because they did mention that there's this new thing where you gain points as you do cool stuff, and then you can redeem those points for specific things. So you can summon a tank, or you can upgrade to specific units for each class. So maybe the Droidica is one of those units. And yeah. I do agree with you, the Droidicas are probably one of the best things in the original trilogy. Definitely the best thing in the Phantom Menace.
Oh, yeah. By far, yeah.
And yeah, I really liked them. Droidicas and the Magma Guards, I think is what they were called.
The Magma Guards.
The dudes with the electric Darth Maul sticks.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe they'll reveal them down the line. I wouldn't write them out completely. I'd be very surprised if they weren't in, because I don't think we are in the minority in the people who loved Droidicas. So yeah, I think they'll make it back. I think they'll make it in.
Yeah. Overall, it looks really good. It looks like they're trying to show, okay, guys, look, we're trying to fix a lot of the problems that the first one had. It looks promising. I still want. It's kind of like one of those things where it's I'm rooting for this game, but I'm still skeptical. Until the game launches and I see some decent reviews, I'm still going to be skeptical because I want to know that did they fix the problems for sure? Because it looks like they're showing us they fixed the problems from the first game, but I want to know for sure before I go, diving in.
Yeah. One thing I want to quickly add is that they have plans for some free DLC. They haven't gotten into too much detail, but from what I've managed to gather, the maps are going to be free because they were like that. They don't want to split the. There's not going to be any season pass. Actually, there's not going to be a season pass. The maps, modes, and characters are free. And so maybe there'll be story content that you pay for because this is still EA. Maybe there'll be cosmetic stuff that you pay for, which is fine. But yeah, how long ago was it that I had that little rant? Well, not rant. That little monologue talking about how I feel like free DLC is becoming the norm. I don't know if you remember. I was talking about how.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, well, EA is giving free DLC out for one of their biggest games of the year. That is a big deal, and I think they should be applauded for that. So yeah, it's gonna. So they said all the right things. They've said all the right things. What they've shown looks good, but yeah, similar to you. I'm of the wait and see. If it's well received, if people, and not just the first week, probably wait for a couple of months, see how the legs are, and then if it's got good legs, then maybe I'll pick it up on sale or something.
Yeah. I mean, I want to root for this game for sure, and I'm very intrigued from that single player because I actually did like the single player in Battlefront 2. I think we talked about it, and I really loved the narration from the clone trooper guy. I love that narration so much. It was the best. So I'm hoping that they have something really cool and cinematic and a different perspective from the Star Wars universe because I always like that. I always like when you get to see the universe and love, but from a completely different perspective, and I really like that. So that was pretty cool. They also showed Need for Speed. Looks like Fast and Furious.
Yeah, it looks okay. They had a little heist mission where you're supposed to chase down this truck and steal this car, and it looked like a scene pulled straight out of the Fast and the Furious, which is fine if you're gonna steal from the quote unquote best. And they
Yeah.
might not be the best, but they are the most popular right now. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I just, like me, I'm a simple man. I just want a racing game. I just want a straight racing game. So all these extra bells and whistles, they always make me uncomfortable, but it looks cool. It looks fine. We'll see. Maybe there'll be an open beta. They haven't announced anything about it. If there's an open beta, I'll definitely check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I mean, yeah, I don't think I've stressed enough that I'm of the I don't really care for racing games in general unless they're like kart racing games. But
Yeah.
I feel like like as far as Need for Speeds go, I think this looks like this will be a better one for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I agree.
So I
It
have
looks amazing.
Oh yeah, no. I think for what it is, it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be good and it's going to attract that audience for sure. It's weird because it's like I'm saying that it's good, but I know it's not for me. You know, I like flat out I know it's not for me, but I can't say that it looks bad. It does look good for what it's trying to do. So
Yeah.
pretty cool with Need for Speed. Then they talked about sports because sports is super cool. And we have lots to talk about sports, but then they teased Anthem at the very end, which we'll probably talk about because that's in Microsoft's conference.
Yeah.
Do you want to just
Yeah. Okay.
wait?
Since Microsoft's next thing we're going to talk about, we can talk about this now and then segue into Microsoft
Okay.
from that because I don't think there's anything else in the conference. Now, just a quick disclaimer: I didn't watch the press conference. I swore I was never going to watch EA's press conferences again, and I stand by that. So I can't rate the conference. I can't rate the pace, and I can't rate all of that. I just looked up the content afterwards. I did not watch the press conference, and I don't regret it one bit. But yeah, they showed an Anthem gameplay trailer. They showed a basic trailer at the press conference, and then they showed a gameplay trailer at Microsoft's
Well,
press
we're gonna get to that, but
Yeah.
I am curious though. Do you? I guess we should have asked this before, but are we gonna do grading after every conference, or just gonna like shotgun them all at the end? I think
Let's do after every conference.
I think that's a good way. So as someone, so we'll go. I guess we'll just go into grading. As someone who did watch the EA conference. I mean, it was front loaded. Like, Battlefront 2 was kind of interesting and kept my attention. And then, Need for Speed was kind of interesting, but like I said, not necessarily for me. But those were the two highlights. And Anthem was such a teaser that it really wasn't a whole lot. Like, it didn't really reveal itself until Microsoft. So the rest of the conference, it was just a snooze fest. Because it's talking about sports, and I know people like sports games. There's an audience for sports games, and EA knows this, but I just don't care. Like it's like, every time I know that I always know that a good chunk of these EA conferences are going to be like related to sports, and that blows.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, so I don't watch them anymore. I think it was two press conferences ago, maybe three. They had a press coming into the press conference. I knew that Battlefront was going to be there. This was back when I was still interested in the franchise. I knew that Mirror's Edge was going to be there. I knew that the Need for Speed was going to be there. I knew that there were a couple of really cool games that they had that were going to be at the press conference. And I watched the press conference, and it's funny that you called this a snooze fest because I literally fell asleep during that press conference. I remember I was at my friend's place, and then I just woke up.
Yeah.
I just remember myself waking up because it was like, Mirror's Edge is coming up, Mirror's Edge is coming up. So after that, I was like that, if with all these games, they had all these games coming to the press conference that I was excited for, and they still found a way to put me to sleep, these guys are not for me, and I'm never watching another one of the press conferences.
Yeah.
So with that said, I'm going to give it a not applicable because I don't think it's fair for me to the press conference did not watch. But I'm pretty sure if I had watched it, I would have given it a D, maybe a D minus. So,
as someone who did watch it, I would give it like maybe a 4 or 4, because it's like like Battlefront 2.
4 out of 10.
4 out of 10. I'm grading them out of 10. That's how I'm doing it. But I'm giving it a 4 out of 10 mostly just because it's like every year they just spend so much time on sports, and it's like I just wish like. You know what? If you're gonna talk about sports, sprinkle it in between. In between like interesting stuff. Stuff that we haven't seen before. And if they did it like that, I would probably applaud them for at least pacing it a little bit different. But the fact that like Battlefront and Need for Speed happened, and then it was just all freaking like get ready for sports, boys. And it's like,
But yeah, I think that's way too much effort put into breaking down EA's press conference.
Yeah.
Moving on to Microsoft's press conference. So it was an interesting one. So they officially announced the Xbox Scorpio. It's called the Xbox One X or some shit like that. Yeah, the Xbox One X. And they went through some techno garble that means absolutely nothing to me. Pretty much in summary, it's a PS4. It's like a PS4 Pro. So I mean, technically speaking, it's more powerful than a Pro. But all that stuff is really, really like we're going to the point where that stuff is actually irrelevant, I think. So yeah. Anyway, it's like a PS4 Pro, and my stance on the PS4 Pro is the same as this. These consoles are irrelevant because on one hand, you can't like Sony has sold 50, let's say 40 million PS4s. You cannot make games exclusive to the PS4 Pro or the Xbox One X. It's impossible. You can't do it at this point because you'll spurn all your customers. Like I said, I'll become a PC gamer if either of them try this shit, right? So you can't make games that are exclusive to these quote-unquote next-gen consoles, right? But then at the same time, the fact that you have to make games for the PS4 and the Pro or the Xbox One and the X means that the X and the Pro games are going to be worse just by design. So then I'm like, what is the point?
And it's also like the other thing, this is specifically for 4K gaming. So if you don't have a 4K TV, this will not work. Period. Like it's meant for the people that care a lot about 4K streaming or like 4K quality, and I get it, and it's also more expensive and baffling that first off, that I want to say about the Xbox One X, I hate the name. I think the name is stupid. It's like, oh man, we have to make this like advanced version of the Xbox One. So what could we possibly put at the end of the friggin' sentence? Oh, let's put another X.
This sounds like something that was made in the 90s. In the 90s, everything was extreme.
Extreme.
This sounds like something that was made in the 90s.
Yeah, I was making jokes with my friends earlier, like, it's the Xbox One X Double XL this Sunday.
Double XL Extreme Edition. No, I feel, I'm not feeling the name. When they said it, I rolled an eyebrow.
I like Scorpio. I know Scorpio's kind of weird, but I actually kind of liked Scorpio.
Scorpio was cool, but it probably didn't fit in with the. I don't know, man. Who knows? Who knows how to come up with these names? Maybe they do like a line of code or something like that before they decide on what they're naming these consoles. Because how do you go from the Xbox to the Xbox 360 to the Xbox One?
Yeah. And the other thing that somebody pointed out is that this is a really they decided to make this version of the Xbox really small, actually very small.
It's barely bigger than the controller.
Now, the issue that a little people brought out that are a little bit worried about is that it's being run with liquid cooling, right?
Okay.
Now, the thing is with liquid cooling is that you have to be very careful. As someone who uses, I have a friend who uses a liquid cooling for their PC, right? And he talks about you have to be very, very gentle with this kind of technology because it can break or bad things can happen. And what people are worried about is that does that mean that the durability on these Xbox One X's are actually going to be not very good because of this liquid cooling? And I will be very interested to see if it comes out and it's oh, it's fine. They figured out a way to do liquid cooling and make sure that the console doesn't, overheat or, burn itself up or whatnot. Because I see a lot of people getting a little bit worried that there could be a return of the Red Ring with this.
Well, here's a nice little bit of history for you. So the PS2 was a piece of shit. It used to break It used to break like that was its job, right?
Yeah.
The PS2 just used to break all day. The Xbox 360 used to brick all day. Do you know what else the other two consoles have in common? They were very, very successful. So, hey, maybe if the Xbox One X comes out and the liquid cooling causes it to start breaking, and that'll be
like, I'm sold. A stamp of approval.
Because the original Xbox was a really, really good console, and it did not sell very well. The
Mhm.
PS2 was a piece of shit, and it sold like 150 million. So hey, you know what? Historically speaking, shitty consoles seem to sell really well for some
This
reason.
is
So
true. This is
so
true.
that bodes really well for that bodes well for Microsoft.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a very good point. That because like I said, when they talk about all this techno garble, I'm like,
No, no, no. I
so
know, I know. For a lot of people, like it's just gonna go over their heads. Like this, and I know this is not. This is not gonna. This console is not meant for the typical like audience for the Xbox. This is meant for the people that really, really want the good graphics. Like they
yeah.
really want that 4K experience. So they are willing to spend like over $500 for this new fandangled version of the Xbox One. And I guess me it's like I'm with you in which it's kind of pointless, but I guess it does serve that particular audience. But they did talk about backwards
Yeah.
compatibility, which I thought was pretty interesting.
That was interesting. Yeah, they were like that. So they're adding Xbox backward compatibility to the Xbox One X, and I'm assuming to the shit. I've lost track. The Xbox One. There we go. To the Xbox One and the Xbox One X. They didn't list the games. At least I haven't found a list for the games. Now, to be fair, I did not check. So there's also that.
That might be that by possibly.
But they showed one game, Crimson Skies, a game that people have been begging for a port and HD re-release. It was a very, very popular Xbox game. I never picked it up, unfortunately, because back then I was on dial-up internet, and Crimson Sky was a game that it revolved around the online multiplayer. So I was like, nah, B, nobody got time for that. So I never tried it out on the original Xbox, but it has a devoted following, and you can probably tell just from the reaction from the crowd that people love this game.
Yeah.
Funny story, actually, when he was like, "Oh, Xbox backwards compatibility is coming," you actually hear someone in the crowd yell out, "We love you, Phil!" I thought that was cool.
Well, like if I'm being perfectly honest, like that's the thing that I think Microsoft has over the other companies is that like they push backwards compatibility, which is something that a lot of the other companies don't really do. Like.
Yeah. Like this. I mean, obviously, it's gonna be. The roster is limited, and there's no mention of if the actual discs work. So we're still figuring all that stuff out. But I mean, if the discs don't work, then what's the point of backwards compatibility? But whatever, we'll figure that out. However, yes, like now, theoretically speaking, all the Xbox games work on the Xbox One X. Obviously, obviously they don't. But you get my point. The Xbox One game, you can play a game from any generation on your Xbox One X, which is really cool, and it's something that I wish Sony and Nintendo would do. Because unlike Microsoft, no disrespect to Microsoft, but these consoles are older, so they have a deeper back catalog, and there'd be more benefits to it on a Nintendo console than on an Xbox, right? So yeah, that's pretty cool. So hats off to Microsoft for that. Other than that, like the press conference was weird.
Yeah, there were a couple things like I guess I want to talk about like the some of the what was it? Metro. We got to talk about Metro Exodus.
Oh yeah. It looked pretty cool. It's funny because I left in between because they started showing Forza and I was like, okay, cool. I've got errands to go.
No. You got to go make a sandwich, Waz. Keep the lore going. God damn it.
Yeah, exactly. They started playing Forza and I'm like, it's sandwich time. I'm fasting, but I'm gonna go make a sandwich. That's how
You're just gonna make a sandwich to look at it.
That's how little I care for Forza 7. But yeah, so I come back and I see this one dude in like a sewer with a gun and really good graphics, and I'm like, that's Metro, isn't it? So when the demo finished and it was like Metro, I'm like, But no, the game looked amazing, like graphically speaking. Now, obviously, this seemed like a very pre-rendered demo. I don't think that section that they played actually exists in the game.
Yeah, some of it did seem really scripted, but conceptually, I was looking at it and I was like, okay, I do like the idea of exploring more of the overworld, because that was the interesting thing about Metro, because the Metro games, you spend almost all of the time you play the game is underground, because the area, the earth itself is so irradiated that you can survive only like 5 minutes outside, right?
Okay.
So that's like part of the gimmicks, is that you're spending, and there's all these different factions and there's bases, and one of the cool things is that they talked about how, I think they talked about this in a different article, but they talked about, and this is the cool thing that I really like, is that the base is a train. It's just this heavy metal train that goes around in a circle, and they constantly have the Metro guys going into sewers, picking up supplies to bring it back onto the train. And that's a really, really cool concept for a game, and I'm actually pretty excited for it for sure. Because I played a lot of Metro last Light, and I actually really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've not played a Metro game before, so for me, I was like, okay, it's a Metro game.
It's good. Like it's a good shooter. It is a very, very good shooter. The other, let's talk about Dragon Ball. Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so now I don't want to spend too I'm gonna just touch on it briefly, because I'm really excited about this game, and you know how I get when I'm either excited about something or upset about something, right?
Yeah.
But this game, it leaked prior to the press conference, which kind of sucked a little bit of the surprise out. But okay, so first of all, it's a 3v3 Dragon Ball game developed by Arc System Works. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because Arc System Works made Guilty Gear Xrd, which I've gone on record to say is currently my favorite fighting game. So when I heard about that, I lost my shit. So they showed the trailer. It looks amazing.
It looks
it's on Unreal Engine 4. Xrd is on Unreal Engine 3, and it's beautiful. This is just run on Unreal Engine 4. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I love me some cell shading.
And Arc System has like perfected that level of cell shading. Like it looks so beautiful. And
it's like a cartoon. Yeah.
It's great. It's great because you look at it and it gets you so hyped. And somebody pointed out that one of the coolest things in the trailer that you had to slow down to notice is that when Goku deflects some of the power balls from Frieza, they go into the background and blow up buildings.
Oh, that's pretty cool. One other cool thing is that, okay, so if you, I don't know what moves caused this, but there's a thing. I don't know all the. Okay, I'll just tell you the situation, and then you can. So Majin Buu, because I watched a gameplay demo, Majin Buu, he does a combo, and then he kills whatever. Let's say Goku. He kills Goku with his super, which is like the explosion, right?
Yeah.
So then it zooms out. You see Earth, or well, Namek from space, and it's like exploding and everything, right? Then when they come back to the next round, you're fighting on destroyed Namek.
Yes.
So it's like there's lava everywhere, and I was like, it literally has no effect on gameplay, but
it looks so rad.
I thought it was cool. Yeah, okay, 'cause I don't want to get too nitty gritty with the gameplay details, but one key difference between this game and Marvel 3, because Marvel 3 is the closest comparison to this game. There's it borrows a lot of stuff from Marvel 3. One big difference is that in Marvel 3, when you kill a character in Marvel games, when you kill a character, the other character is forced to come in, and you can set up like a really, really crazy. You can do like a crazy setup to make it difficult for them to block when they come in, right? You can't do that in this game. Whenever a character dies, it resets. The entire match resets, and then you go back, and it's like, you're back at your starting positions. So what that does is that in Marvel 3, you could have very, very snowbally matches where you kill the first person, the second person comes in, you do a really, really crazy setup that they can't block, you kill them, the third person comes in, do that setup again, and kill them, and you can just die without playing. People used to joke that Marvel 3 was a one-player game sometimes. So yeah, like this allows you to make more mistakes, which I really like, because that was the biggest issue with Marvel 3, was that sometimes you could make one mistake and lose the entire game.
Yeah, basically.
So yeah, like that's all I'm gonna say, because we're gonna
we gotta talk about some other stuff really quickly. But honestly, Dragon Ball game looks good. Arc System knocking it out of the park as they usually do.
It out the park. It's actually a Bandai Namco game, FYI, but it's being co-developed with Arc System.
Well, I mean, like you just looking at the art style, it's like look, it's in Arc System. Like they have people helping them out, but like Arc System is like the main chef in this brew.
Yeah.
Let's call it that.
So the Microsoft had the usual ID at Xbox, which is like a montage of a bunch of indie games. Some really cool looking indie games. We got a release date for Cuphead, so finally.
And it's this year. It's this year. I'm so happy I can finally play.
I don't know if anyone cares anymore, but
I actually do care because I absolutely adore this art style. I just think the game
I
took
love
way. I love the art style. I just personally think. Okay, there's two things I think. One, I did play the game. I scratched that. I actually did play the game. I played it at Montreal Comic Con last year,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, I did. I think I talked about it on one of our earlier podcasts, and I really like the game. But holy fucking shit, the game is hard. Holy shit, the game is hard, and it is not forgiving. And you kind of have to. You kind of have to get. It's like you have to get good. So that was pretty intense. And the fact I feel like this game took a really long time to come out, but I heard rumors that part of the reason why the game took so long to come out was originally it was only boss fights, and there weren't any actual platforming levels. And then somebody pointed out, why aren't there any platforming levels? It seems like it would be perfect for platforming levels. And they went, well, that would take a lot of time and money. And they're like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna take a lot of time and money, I guess.
Oh wait, we actually didn't mention. So the release date is the 29th of September 2017, obviously. So in a couple of months actually. So that's pretty cool. But speaking of really cool art styles, they also revealed this new game called The Last Night.
It's so good.
It looks amazing. This game might have one of the most unique art styles I've seen in recent memory. I don't want to say ever because obviously hyperbole, all that fun stuff. But in recent memory, this game has the most unique art style I've ever seen. It's like it's very cyberpunk, neo noir, very very Blade Runner. Like if this dude tells me that he's not inspired by Blade Runner, I'll slap him across the face and call him a liar because this game is Blade Runner. Like this game has visually this is Blade Runner. So it's got a very pixel. I can't even describe it to you. You need to look this game up.
What it is it's a mix of 3D environments and pixelated art. And it feels like that wouldn't blend very well together, but it really, really does. It blends beautifully, and I'm very, very excited to see more of that game. That is definitely... Honestly, that, to me, was one of the more bigger highlights of the conference.
That was one of the highlights of the conference. Oh, also, they revealed a sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest called Ori and the Will of the Wisps, with a very, very... what's the word I'm looking for? Let's just go with beautiful. With a very beautiful piano solo by the music dude.
Yeah, the music dude. That is probably the most... I love how you phrase that.
I'm like, whatever. I know it's got time for that shit. Yeah, the music guy. He came out on the piano and he did a very beautiful, beautiful song. And we've got a sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, which is, it's good to see because Microsoft have a very bad habit. I'm going to get to that in my summary of the press conference, but they have a very bad habit of not cultivating franchises. So it's good to see that giving their doubling down on this really, really cool game and really unique game, because that's another thing that Microsoft has been criticized for, is for a lack of diversity in their library. So I'm glad to see that they doubled down on that. Other than that, like, what else did they really show at the con? They showed
the last thing. The last thing we want to talk about is Anthem. That would be the last thing to talk about.
Yeah, so they showed Anthem, and it looks okay. So first of all, they come up and say that they're like, okay, so Anthem is this open world game, and I just start laughing because literally the day prior, me and Tanner are talking, and it's like, oh, they're gonna show that new BioWare IP. I hope it's not open world.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh yeah, so Anthem is an open world game.
And you're probably just losing your shit, and I'm just like, ugh. I mean, fine. Okay, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think the trailer was pretty cool. I actually do think
the trailer was pre-rendered, but that's
okay. No. If you wanted to argue, like somebody pointed out that there's certain sections of that trailer that's clearly like, okay, these are lies, and then there's other parts of the trailer in which I'm like, okay, that could possibly be real. But here's the thing that sucks about this for me is that I think this game looks good and it could have a lot of potential. But the problem is, considering that the last game that just came out was such a clusterfuck, I now have the problem I have is that, like, okay, let's do like some history, a little bit of history for me right now, just so you can understand my perspective. Mass Effect 3 wasn't a clusterfuck game-wise. It was just there was problems with the ending, right? And that was the bigger issue of the game. And then Mass Effect Andromeda came out, and it wasn't really the story that was the problem. It was the game. It was like the engine and the graphics that was a clusterfuck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the thing that worries me about this is that I'm like, well, now I'm actually legitimately afraid because I don't know. This looks cool on paper, but I don't know if BioWare can actually do this. And considering that I've mentioned on the last podcast that I don't think that they're really good at making big open world games, I don't know if this is going to work out or not. It's like I wanted to be more excited for this game, but after what happened with Andromeda, I'm just so much more skeptical.
Yeah, I will give them credit for one thing. They're finally doing something different.
Yeah.
BioWare, I feel, has gotten into a habit of just they found their comfort zone in like the type of games that they wanted to make, and they've just been making those games for a while because Dragon Age Inquisition and Mass Effect have their differences, but they are very similar. You can see that they have the same DNA. If you look at them, they're related. They're like you can see the same DNA in both of them, right? But this is completely different. This is completely different from anything that they've done. Like you said, they've not actually made an open world game before. Like Dragon Age and Mass Effect have open world elements in them, but they are not open world games. At least I don't classify them as open world games. This will be like this should be, if they pull it up, their first proper open world game. In terms of the graphics, I think the whole opening area where they're talking to that guy, I think that whole shit was fake. However, the area in the forest looked real. It looked real enough, so I can believe that. But in terms of gameplay, in terms of gameplay, it just looks like Destiny, to be completely honest. It looks very similar to Destiny. You bring your friend in, you go, you do some quests, you get some loot, which is cool. More competition is always fine. I don't care for Destiny. This looks a lot cooler.
Well, someone also pointed out a big thing is that being able to see your character is nice. Like
I like that.
If you're gonna play a big game like Destiny-esque, being able to see your character and all the cool shit you have on is a nice thing to do. And that's one of the problems with Destiny is that because everything's on a first-person perspective, all you get to see is the gun. And occasionally when you do supers, you get to see your character, but it's like, But I mean, like the gameplay that they showed off in the forest, that was pretty cool. One thing I will admit, though, I was kind of weirdly impressed by is that I felt that the dialogue, like they always do like fake dialogue, I thought it was actually kind of all right. Like, it seemed relatively plausible. Like, people were like, oh, yeah, he got the weapon on the weekend, It's like, oh, should we go over there now? We'll wait till him, Like, I feel like, because I've seen the polar opposite of, like, this is nowhere near what real people talk.
I got my achievements 100% legit. Did you ever see that?
Oh, God. Oh, man. I mean, we don't want to. I mean, like the other thing. Well, the thing that they did do that was a bit cringy was that MOBA game. Oh God.
What MOBA game? I don't even remember.
I know you don't even remember. There was a MOBA game.
Oh, the one with the commentator.
The commentator who was losing his goddamn mind.
Everybody was like, "What did I just watch?"
That was probably the cringiest part of the whole conference. Was that guy just going absolutely insane.
That was not great. Yeah, and that was from the cringiest part of the conference, which is saying a lot because we've come a long way from E3 2010. Those were some dark times. So we've come a long way if that is the cringiest thing in a press conference. But I mean, okay, they showed a lot of games. We're not going to touch on everything, but just in summary, because in summary, my issue. Okay, so I'll give them. I'll grade them first, and then I'll talk more in depth. So I'll give them a 7 out of 10. I thought the pacing was perfect. I thought they paced the press conference really, really well. They didn't come out and talk about stats or any of that bullshit that no one actually cares about. They came out and it was just game after game after game after game after game. And this dude comes in, says a little bit, game after game after game after game. It started off a little slow when this dude came out and was talking about, tech specs for the Scorpio. But that's fine. That always has to happen when a new console comes out. That's fine. Other than that, like the pacing was absolutely perfect in my opinion.
Pacing, I think, was solid. I think like that's not really the bigger issue. I feel like Microsoft, out of all the big conferences, their pacing is good. like overall.
Yes.
They just
Yeah.
have other problems that I'm sure we'll get into. Or
My issue was the content.
mm-hmm.
Now, one thing that I want to they used the term console launch exclusive for so many games at this press conference that it was so difficult to actually figure out what was actually exclusive
Mm-hmm.
to the Xbox One, because there was always like an asterisk next to a
Mm-hmm.
title. They'd be like, okay, this is a play this comes out first on Xbox
Yeah.
One. This is a console exclusive, so it's on PC and it's on Steam as well.
Yeah.
There was so many of those types of games that it really it was like, okay, I'm not really sure what's exclusive here and what isn't.
Yeah.
But my biggest problem, and this is a problem I've had with Microsoft since the Xbox 360, is that this conference really showed the lack of first party studios, that the complete
Mm-hmm.
lack of depth in Microsoft's first party studios, because like they finished their press conference with Anthem, a third party game, a multi-platform third party game.
Mm-hmm.
The only new first party exclusive that they showed was Forza 7.
Yeah.
That was really disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
They showed a couple of first party games, Sea of Thieves, Crackdown 3. There's probably something else that I'm forgetting.
No, I was gonna say Sea of Thieves and Crackdown 3.
I think that was it. Sea of Thieves and Crackdown 3. That's all you got? Because remember I said that this Microsoft need to come out swinging. And now, to be fair, they came out organized. But I thought for sure we were going to see at least a new Perfect Dark,
mm-hmm.
a new Battletoad, or like a reboot to Phantom Dust or something.
Yeah, something to catch people off guard. A big surprise.
Yeah, and this brings me to my other issue with Microsoft is that they've milked their franchises so much that the big franchises that they have, no one cares anymore. Because let's be honest, right? If this dude had come on stage and been like, okay, let's finish off the press conference, the screen goes black and it's Halo 6, would anyone have cared? I mean,
not really.
Cared.
Some people would have cared.
But it wouldn't have been like, oh my god, it's Halo 6. I'd be like, okay, well, it's Halo 6, obviously. If it was like obviously it couldn't be Gears of War 5 because 4 just came out last year. But let's say this is next year's press conference. Yeah. And then the screen goes black and it's Gears of War 5. Would anybody have really lost their shit? Now, let me give you an example. And this is a bit of a spoiler for what's coming later on the podcast. Nintendo, black screen, letters come up, Metroid Prime 4. Like, literally, they didn't even have a trailer. They just have text, and people are out there losing their shit.
Yeah.
So like that's the difference, and that's been my biggest issue with Microsoft. First of all, they don't cultivate a lot of their franchises. They found 4 that worked: Gears, Fable for a while, Forza, and Halo. They found those 4 and they milked those 4 for the entirety of the Xbox 360.
And now it's like they don't have any really big titles that they confront anymore, and it sucks for them.
Let me ask you an honest question. What is the newest IP that Microsoft has developed?
I honestly couldn't.
Gears of War, 2006. It's been 10 years since Microsoft developed a new game. IP.
They're too. Oh God, yeah. I honestly, it's like if you want me to go into like my grading and whatnot, if you don't mind, or
yeah.
Okay. The biggest thing that I wanted to see out of this conference that I didn't really get, and this is the problem I have, is that it's like I wanted to see something that made me get out of my seat or go, whoa, that I didn't expect that, or something really like knocked my socks off,
Yeah.
And I didn't get that. And I think we talked about this last podcast that I was like, if Halo, if they aren't going to bring like, their any big games, they're the games that people know them for, then they need to show a new IP. And we didn't get a new IP. We got a new IP in Anthem, but it's not a Microsoft IP.
It's not a Microsoft. That actually doesn't count.
And it doesn't it doesn't count. So it's kind of like I was okay with the stuff that they shown. I was just disappointed because I didn't wow. There was no. This is the thing. Wow. This is the problem I've actually kind of had with Microsoft conferences for the last 3 years. That every conference that they do, it's fine. It's a solid conference, but they don't wow. There's not that moment that makes you go nuts, And that's kind of part of the thing that draws me to E3. Is that out of all the times for me to I want to go nuts is when E3 is happening, and when that doesn't happen during a conference, it's a little bit disappointing. So, but honestly, I'm same here. 7. I would give them a 7 out of 10 for their conference. Like there was cool stuff, but there wasn't enough wow factor in my opinion. And Xbox One X is a terrible name. It's a terrible name.
Yeah, to go from one wireless press conference to another, Bethesda had their press conference that night. It was okay. So like they went over all their franchises, right? So they doubled down on the Morrowind expansion. I thought it was already out, but then they were like, "Oh, Morrowind," and I'm like, "I thought this was already out." So they doubled down on Morrowind expansion for the Elder Scrolls Online. Then they showed some stuff for Elder Scrolls Legend. I don't really care anymore. There was a small window where I would have cared if this came to consoles, but then now Gwent is on consoles, so I actually don't care about that game anymore. Then they showed a standalone expansion for Dishonored that looks pretty cool.
That was not bad.
There's some very, very lore heavy stuff in the trailer. The characters there are like popular characters in the lore, but I don't play Dishonored, so I was just like,
they from what they showed with that Dishonored game, you remember Wolfenstein the New Blood? It was like this mini like $30 experience, like a small game. That's essentially what they're doing, but with Dishonored. It's going to be a smaller experience, but it's going to be in the Dishonored universe, essentially.
Okay. Then they announced Skyrim and Fallout 4 VR. So, Bethesda have officially committed to milking every last dollar that they can out of Skyrim.
There is literally no, like, I like Skyrim, but holy shit! You know what? I'm actually. You know what I think it is. You know what it is, Fawaz. You know what it is. What? Oh, okay. I can't believe we didn't talk about Minecraft and Microsoft because that fucking pissed me off.
Oh my god! It's like, guys, are you kidding me? You made this franchise in 2009. That's why I didn't put that in my list because I had completely blocked that shit
I know, and I like, and that's the thing is that I'm gonna make a comparison here. Minecraft has been done to death so much that it's not a bad game. But I can't get excited for it, and I just don't care. I don't care about it remotely. So when Microsoft goes out of their way to show more and more Minecraft every single fucking conference, I'm like, come on, guys, we get it. We get it. And this is part of the thing that Skyrim's starting to fall into, is that we get it. Skyrim's cool. We don't need a million versions of Skyrim.
It's like, guys, and the worst part is that honestly, if they had given us if they gave us an HD Oblivion, I would buy that shit in the blink of an eye. Give me an HD Morrowind, I would buy that shit in the blink of an eye. But no. We gotta keep milking Skyrim. So yeah, now we have a Skyrim VR, Skyrim on the Switch, which they showed at Nintendo's press conference. We're not gonna talk about that, so let's get that out of the way now. Then what else did they show? Then they
no. Before we even talk about games, we have to talk about the big elephant in the room. Bethesda creators. Or did
oh my god, when I saw that, I just immediately I opened up Twitch chat. I was like, I want to see what Twitch chat has to say about this. So for those that don't know, Bethesda creators is pretty much just paid mods. It's paid mods.
It's paid mods and a completely different name. It's like you have to pay a subscription to be part of this community, but it doesn't really fix the problem that paid mods brought up in the first place.
It's the second time they've tried to do paid mods.
And for me, I'm like, okay, I understand why Bethesda wants to do this, because there is a big modding community for their games, like Fallout 4 and Skyrim and a lot, and they want to support the modders. They want the modders to make it. They want this, because there's some modders that it's like, we don't make any money. And we would want to make you cooler mods, but we don't have the time because we need to be doing our job, our real jobs, And they want to help support the modders. But the problem is that not every modder is a heartful enthusiast who's trying to create a cool experience. There are a lot of modders that are just like, I'm going to throw some bullshit online and see if people like it. And there's other modders that I like. The fishing mod was the biggest example. The biggest problem is that there's going to be so many modders that go, I'm gonna put a bullshit mini game into Skyrim or Fallout, and I'm gonna sell it for $5. And that's bad. That's really, really bad.
However, if this is like Bethesda's community, then I'm assuming that they're going to have some kind of quality, some kind of.
I would hope, but hey, Steam is a big company, and look how Greenlight is.
This is true. So I think the biggest thing that Bethesda needs to do to make this work, since they're committed, is that do what Nintendo is doing right now with their online service. Make it free for like the first couple of months.
Mm-hmm.
Make it free. Let people see. Let people see how good this could be, and then start charging them for it. Right?
Yeah.
That's how Netflix got me.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I took the free month, and here I am 3 years later. So
Yeah, and then you can't live without it. Yeah.
So yeah, like give people a free month or like a free 6 months. Just like with mods, it's gonna take a while to really appreciate. So give people like a couple of free months, and then let them see how good this stuff can be, and then start charging afterwards. But if you start charging out the gates, I don't see how this is going to be successful. I just don't see. So good luck to them or not, depending on your stats.
Yeah, I mean, like that blew my mind when I was like, wow, guys. Not only is this a bad idea, why would you announce this at your conference when everyone's gonna be looking at you? If you were trying to be sneaky, why would you do this at your conference?
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention. They also have Doom VR. They were showing the VR games.
Doom VR.
It's Doom
yeah.
VR. Shit. Whatever. Doom VR, Skyrim VR, and Fallout 4 VR. Then yeah,
Fallout VR looks fine. Skyrim VR looks fine. Well, Skyrim VR was actually, I think, announced at Sony, or was it Sony that got announced? I'm not sure.
I have no idea.
Let me backtrack. I think it's Skyrim VR is also for PlayStation VR, whereas Fallout VR has not been announced for PlayStation VR. So it's probably going to be Oculus.
Okay.
So that's sorry, just that little confusion. Honestly, Doom VR, I don't know how to feel about it because I always never liked the idea of clicking a spot to move to, teleporting. I mean, it could be fun, but honestly, like I feel like it's going to be an inferior version of like the 2016 Doom. So it's let's talk about the two new announcements that they actually showed at the conference.
So Evil Within, Evil Within is Evil Within 2, and it looks cool.
Love the trailer. I actually really like the trailer. The trailer was really cool, really well cut, really well edited. And I like the little snippet at the end with the some gameplay. It looks a lot faster, more tighter. They got rid of that god awful letterbox. God, yeah. For context, for people who don't know about Evil Within 1, one of the biggest problems with Evil Within 1 was they decided to put a letterboxing effect in the game, right? So, because it makes it look cinematic, right? But the problem is that it blocks off the view of the ground by a good chunk, right? Guess what you're doing in that game? You're picking up stuff off the ground. So guess what becomes a problem? Picking up stuff from the ground. So, but honestly, because they showed gameplay without the letterbox, it looked tighter. I was like, okay, that's cool. That's something I can get behind.
One thing that I do want to say, so Evil Within was supposed to be a psychological horror game, right? The first one, no, I never played the first one. So this is all hearsay, and this is based off like the footage that I watched and stuff like that. The game did not seem very subtle. And if you want to be psychological, you have to be subtle. The game seemed more like Resident Evil 4 than Silent Hill, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's being made. I think it's made by the guy.
Well, here's the problem with. I think a lot of people had this problem with Evil Within is that it had a lot of really good people on the team, but it wasn't a really good direction. They chose a really weird middle of the ground direction. It felt like a Japanese Resident Evil mixed with an American horror game. And those two design mentalities kind of clashed in a really awkward way. And that was one of the bigger issues with the game. So this is actually not being directed by Shinji Mikari, I think is his name. The guy the father of Resident Evil. It's actually he's producing the game. And honestly, I think that's okay. Because if they have a tighter team this time, I think it could create a much better product.
Yeah, and it's really okay. So this is just because this is just like something that I literally just read now, right? With Shinji Mikami, because as you were saying that, I read that he said the Evil Within would be his last horror game that he directed. Now, he
Mm.
stated, this is about the evil within the first one. He stated that it will be a quote-unquote true survival horror game, quote, one in which the player confronts and overcomes fear, end quote, because he was disappointed by recent survival horror games becoming action horror games.
And you know, it's really funny that you read that statement when you look at the final cuts and it looks more like an action horror game.
Yep. Yep. So I mean, the intention was there. So let's hope that they figure it out with the second one, because we haven't had a really good mainstream psychological survival horror game in a long time.
Long time, yeah.
For all the good that Resident Evil 4 did, I always say that I feel like Resident Evil 4 hurt the genre more than it helped it in the long run. So yeah, let's see if
this goes anywhere. I'm gonna keep an eye on it, and if it's good, it's great. I would like to see them, because Bethesda. I have to give Bethesda credit because Bethesda at the moment there's not a whole lot of new IPs, and Evil Within was something that they have under their roster. So if they can push this IP and make a better game, great. More power to them.
More power to them. The other game that we got a sequel for is Wolfenstein. So it was an interesting trailer because it starts off with because all these trailers, they always go like Peggy 18, Peggy 12, Peggy 16. So this trailer actually opens up with it's set in like the 50s, and there's a little girl called Peggy.
I didn't actually get that. That's actually pretty good. That's pretty good.
I don't know if they did it on purpose.
I think they must. I have a suspicion they must have did that on purpose.
I was like, oh my god, that's Peggy. We finally know who Peggy is. Anyway, so the actual game looks like bonkers. It
looks ridiculous, and I actually kind of dug it. I kind of dug how ridiculous it was.
Yeah, I did. The trailer was a little all over the place. I can't lie.
The trailer, see, the thing is that I like the tone that they're selling with the game, but the trailer was weird, and it seemed edited weirdly. Like, okay, the biggest
edited that trailer.
Yeah, here's what happened. Here's the part that made me go, that's jarring. That was a jarring cut. There's a sequence in which there's a Nazi in a cafe, right?
So it wasn't just me then.
Okay, because I thought that was jarring as hell. So and it's like a first person shot of this Nazi going like, hey, the milkshake, and he's drinking from the milkshake, and he's looking at you, and he's having this conversation, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna go into like gameplay, right? Because it looked like it was in engine, right? And it wasn't a cutscene. So I'm like, okay, it's gonna go into gameplay, and then it smash cuts into a cutscene. And I'm like, you spent like 2 minutes in pre-engine, and then you went to a cutscene. Like, it felt so weird because it felt like they were leading into gameplay, but they cut to a cutscene instead. It was bizarre.
It was pretty bizarre.
I laughed really. Actually, it's funny, and I'll probably get to it when I'm grading the conference. Is that I laughed really, really hard at that one clip in which he has the biscuit in his hand. And his robot arm just starts losing it, and he just starts smashing his face.
I don't even remember that.
Oh, that was the funniest part of the entire trailer. Is that the black lady's trying to explain something, and he's trying to eat a biscuit, and his robot arm just starts freaking out, and he just starts smashing his face.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to rewatch this and check that scene out. But yeah. So that was pretty much the press conference. There weren't any surprises really, because both Wolfenstein and Evil Within leaked before the press conference started, and all the other stuff was pretty much expected. DLC for the games. So
yeah.
So I don't know personally. Oh, sorry, I actually forgot one last thing to add to Bethesda milking Skyrim. So there's actually going to be a Skyrim expansion for the Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh well, of course there is.
Anyway, so yeah, overall I would grade the press conference a 6 out of 10. It's similar to Microsoft press conference. There weren't any surprises, but then on top of that, there wasn't a lot of content, it was like a 40-minute press conference and it was done, and I was like, I mean, on one hand, it went by really quickly, so that is so props to them for that. It didn't drag. But on the other hand, I was like, that's it? So yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. There's nothing cringy, there was nothing offensive.
Oh, we're gonna get to that from my grading. Okay, but yeah, no, keep going.
No, I think I'm done. Now I want to hear your grading.
I'm giving them a 5 out of 10. And the reason why I'm giving them a 5 out of 10 is because I fucking hated Bethesda Land. I fucking hated it. And the reason, like, I got the joke. But the problem was it was a cheesy joke that didn't fucking end. And that killed my enthusiasm for the entire conference as a whole. And that was not even accounting for all the other stuff that happened. Like, they're making a big deal of, like, the Elder Scrolls card game. They're trying to sneak mods in, and then they're also trying to sell Skyrim to us for the 15th time in a row. But the Bethesda Land joke that just didn't fucking die just killed my enthusiasm. Just killed it. Like, I was just getting so fed up of, like, they're gonna cut back to that cheesy gimmick, and it's still... I don't know why. I feel like it shouldn't have bothered me as much as it did, but it really did. And the fact that it was essentially a joke that wasn't going away, because that's the thing. Like, there's sometimes you're going to be at a conference or you're going to be at a show, right? And they're going to tell a joke. And that joke might not land, or you might not think it's funny, but then they'll move on to a different type of joke, or they'll move on to a different type of thing, right? So at the very least, even if if that joke didn't work for you, you'll have another joke for you that will make you laugh, right?
Yeah.
The problem was they kept telling the same fucking joke. And I didn't laugh the first time, I didn't laugh the second time, I didn't laugh the third time, and I sure as hell didn't laugh the fourth time. So, sorry, say what you're going to say.
I was gonna say that. Wow, I'm surprised. It didn't bother me that much, maybe part of it's because I knew about it coming in, because they revealed like the big graphic of Bethesda Land. They revealed it before the press conference started. And there were those two under construction spots. They ended up being Wolfenstein and Evil Within 2. So I knew about it coming in. So for me, I was like, but damn.
Yeah, no, it's weird because I knew that when I got to this is because I was like, oh my god, I want to give Bethesda a better score, but because they kept telling that same joke over and over again, I've never had a conference actively kill my enthusiasm like that with something like that. I don't know why. It's like I've seen conferences do stupid shit, and it's like, okay, that part sucked, but there's going to be a good part. But the fact that I knew it was coming back every 5 or 3 minutes, it just killed it for me. And it's a real shame. But yeah, no, I got to stick to my guns. That's a 5 out of 10. I hope that they don't do Bethesda Land again, because that did not impress me. Not one bit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, one thing that might have impressed you was Devolver Digital's press conference. So we will not spend too much time on this because it wasn't very long. It was like a 20-minute press conference, and they only showed 2 games. I can't even remember what the games were, if I'm being completely honest.
There were 2. It was Obliterator and another one. It was a fever. If you want, okay, I would like to describe Devolver Digital's press conference as a fever dream.
It was like, okay, we cannot describe it. Like, nothing we say will adequately describe the press conference. So I implore you to go and watch this yourself. It's not very long. It's probably like 20 minutes or something. If you don't want to watch it, just watch the last 2-3 minutes. That was.
Okay. The absolute funniest part of the entire thing was their shout out to Dave Lang, and rest in peace, Dave Lang. 1988 to 2017, and just the whole thing gets really sad, but there's only one clap. And the fact that there's only one clap made that bit so fucking funny to me.
I mean, okay, so just, the other thing I can give you guys is that the press conference was a parody of E3 press conferences, right? So it made fun of a lot of the things that people do, a lot of the like empty promises that people say, and shit like that. Mm-hmm. Just watch the press conference.
You need the funniest thing about this is that it was the most trash fire yet most entertaining piece of shit I've seen in a while, and I felt like it was very intentional. It was very intense. And here's the thing, and I'll say this in comparison to the Bethesda conference, is that even though it was a fever dream of weird shit, at least they kept doing different things. You know, they tried different types of jokes instead of doing the same joke over and over again.
I got like the joke about throwing, because this dude, he comes up and he's like that. Okay, so we hear that you people always throwing your money at the screens, right? But you never get any of this money. So we have this new invention here. He brings a TV that like sucks the stuff. This guy like sticks his hand in his hand, gets chopped.
He well, I think there was a shot where they were actually throwing money at a screen, and at some point one of the titles that they announced, I think it was Absolver, flashes on the screen for half a second and then they cut away. Oh, it was like I would honestly, if I had to grade, I'd grade that an 8 just for stupidity alone.
Okay, so I have 2 grades. Like the moment it's gonna be like Marmite, right? You're either gonna hate this press conference, or you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
So it's either a 2 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. There's no in between here.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm honestly not sure what I'd give it. It's okay. This is gonna sound really hypocritical because I say that and I'm gonna give it a 6.
That's fine. Like, honestly, you giving this a bad grade doesn't really matter, because it's like, I can't argue with it.
Yeah, so yeah, that was Devolver Digital's press
conference. That was Devolver Digital. I was, that, I can't describe. You know what? Us talking about it is not doing it justice. Go watch it. It's like 20 minutes long, so it's not that much of a time sink anyway. Just watch it. It was quite entertaining. Now, speaking of things that were, entertaining. PC conference.
The PC press conference. So I'll be honest with you, I wasn't paying attention. Like I was on my laptop doing stuff, and then I'd look up, look down, look. In fact, the only reason why I even opened up the PC press conference was because I go online. And they're like, the PC press conference is happening right now. I'm like, whatever, I'm not gonna watch that shit. And then I go online. And then it's like XCOM 2 expansion pack got announced, and I'm like, oh my god! And then I put up the press conference and I watched it. It was okay. They showed more of that game the last night. It was really funny. So the dude comes on stage to talk about his new game. Day 9 is like that. Hey man, you want to come talk about your game? And then he comes on stage and he's like that. So first of all, I just want to apologize for all those tweets I made back in the day. I'm sorry, I was a different person back then and stuff. And then did that. He's just like, okay, so about this game.
Wait, what did he say? What was his tweets?
So he posted some tweets like in 2014. Hey, remember how the whole Gamergate fiasco happened?
Oh Christ, we are not touching that. We are not touching that.
So we're gonna touch this. We're just gonna state. So he defended the people who are harassing the woman, and then he just said he said some very, very anti-woman stuff back in 2014. Okay. So and obviously no one knew him back then and no one cared. So no one really this is just a random internet troll, whatever.
Yeah.
But then now that his game comes out
and it's like people are actually paying attention to him, he's like, yeah, just ignore that shit from earlier.
So that shit confused me because I just knew about the game.
It's funny. Like I guess like he's wanting to like, okay, there's gonna be people who are looking at me and remembering those tweets. But if I'm being perfectly honest, like I feel like a lot of people would have forgotten about that.
No. Look up the last night, and I think the first article that comes up is the Twitter stuff.
Oh, okay. I guess I'm wrong. Well, the problem is that I didn't know this guy. I didn't know his tweets. So I'm taking it from the perspective where I didn't even know there was a controversy behind him.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah.
I guess from that perspective, yeah, he kind of had to say something.
Yeah. Clay Entertainment showed us a new game, Griftland. So Clay are a Canadian developer. Shout out to Canada. Sorry. So yeah, Clay are a Canadian developer. They make really, really beautiful games with a very unique art style. It's like a hand-drawn type of art style. So anyway, they announced a brand new game called Griftlands, which is it looked like a turn-based game. But the big deal with the game, and this is what the trailer kind of focused on, was that you can barter for anything. So the character goes out, kills something, comes in, trades the thing that they kill for beer, and then they go and they trade the alcohol to someone for their for them to join the party, and then there's so it's a lot of trading. So that's the main thing. The tagline is everything is negotiable, so that's pretty interesting. We didn't see too much of it, but it looks cool. I'm excited to see more of it. I love Clay. It's funny I love Clay because I've only really loved one of their games, Mark of the Ninja. Yeah. But whatever. I love Clay. They're Canadian. Shout out to Canada.
Yeah, shout out to Canada. But yeah, no. The only other thing I want to talk about that I was actually pretty happy with was Age of Empires. Definitive edition.
Yeah.
I also really liked in the trailer. They knew how to start that with the Wololo. They Oh, you don't know about Wololo? Oh, that's it's okay. I gotta explain something. So in Age of Empires and Age of Empires 2, there's these monks, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing that people used to make fun of is that monks, the units thing that they can do is they can convert people to your side. So let's say like if you have if you have 10 monks, their attack is spending like 10 seconds trying to convert the enemy units to your side so that you can control them.
Okay.
And the thing that they chant is Wololo. And that became a thing for the Age of Empires community. So that's why I actually really liked the fact that they started that trailer with Wololo. But that looked pretty cool. The XCOM 2 expansion pack looked really cool. They talked about like 3 different factions. They showed off some new aliens and like it's more XCOM 2. Like
it's because here's the thing and this is the biggest issue that I have with most DLC, right? Is that it's just like it's small stuff. That's what I've always complained about with even games that I love, Bloodborne and Dark Souls. That's what I always disliked about their DLC was that it's like a small little thing that you just play. Okay, we introduced this new area. Go in there, play, live for like 10, 15 hours. Get some new gear, and that's it. But this sounds, keep in mind, sounds is the keyword here. I might be wrong, but this sounds like an expansion. Like it actually affects the entire game. You get 3 new factions. So I don't know if that's 3 new units or 3 new factions. I'm going to assume that it's 3 new factions because that's what they said.
Well, you know what it kind of sounds like? It sounds like their version of It sounds like their version of was Enemy Within. It sounds like Enemy Within for XCOM 2. That's what it sounds like to me, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So there's 3 new factions. There's a new enemy. There's a new race. There's a new alien race completely. But then on top of that, the old aliens, the Advent, are gonna get some new enemies. There's new weapons. There's new skills. There's all that stuff. There's also gonna be a new mode. It's a challenge mode where you have these one-shot challenges, so they put you in a situation with a set amount of units, and then you have to complete it, and there's like leaderboards and all that shit. It's content, which got me so excited. So like shout outs to them. One last thing that I want to talk about with the PC press conference is Lawbreaker. So Cliffy B, aka Dude Huge, I believe is what they used to call him.
Yeah. The Gears guy. I always called him the Gears guy. That's what I called him.
The Gears guy. So yeah, his game Lawbreakers. So Cliffy B comes up and he's about as what's that word I'm looking for? As edgy as always. He comes on stage. Yes. And he's like, okay, so we're having an actual beta because a bunch of developers do this bullshit where they do a beta a week before the game comes out. And I'm like, yeah, I feel you, Cliff. I actually agree with you. He's like, we're not gonna do that. We're actually doing a proper closed beta. So they're doing a closed beta right now. There's actually a couple of Overwatch streamers I know that have posted videos about it. The game is really fast paced and crazy and stuff. So then the closed beta ends at the 28th, and the open beta starts on the 30th. Then the game itself launches on the 8th of August, and then in his last bit of edginess, he's like that the game is only going to be $30 because I don't believe in this bullshit of charging full price for a multiplayer only game. Then he dropped the mic and he walked off stage, and that was.
Okay, that was a better part of the conference. I will admit that was probably one of the highlights.
Yeah, so I'm glad this game finally coming out. I liked Cliffy B. for me, he really came to prominence with Gears of War. Obviously, that was when that was when I really got to know him. So it made me sad when he left, and I've been looking forward to what he was going to do next. When the game was announced as Blue Streak, it was a PC only game, but now it's coming to PS4, and it's not going to be free to play. It was originally supposed to be free to play, but now it's only going to be $30.
Yeah.
It looks cool. I'm definitely gonna check out the open beta. So look forward to that on the channel. I'm gonna post some videos of that. There's a lot of elements of Overwatch in it, but I feel like it's not like it's not okay. No. I take that back. It looks more like Quake than Overwatch, to be completely honest. So no, I completely take that back. It's a very fast-paced game. There are some similarities. It's a team-based game, but I mean, Overwatch doesn't have a monopoly on team-based
I mean,
games.
it's like I think when we talked about it when it got revealed that we were like, I think you were more intrigued by it than me, but I was starting to feel really worried about the hero shooter thing becoming a bit too saturated, and that was when Lawbreakers got announced. I was like, okay, we've got Overwatch, we've got Quake Champions on the way, we've got Paladins, we've got this as well, and I was legitimately starting to get worried. And then there's the Microsoft's one as well, and I was legitimately starting to get worried that this was going to be a trend that would go kind of milk it.
Military shooter.
Yeah, it was going to become the new military shooter, and I was really freaking worried about that. So honestly, I'm fine with Lawbreakers in general. But I do have to admit, lower price. That's a good thing for this game.
That's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. So yeah, PC press conference was a solid press conference. I'd probably give it a solid 7 out of 10. Nothing offensive about it.
I give it a 7 out of 10 as well. Because it's it has, once again, the PC conferences have the same problems that Microsoft keeps doing. It has the same highs but also the same lows. The PC conference also has the same highs and same lows, in which is there are some really cool stuff, just the pacing's fucking awful. I never understand the setup. They always have this really weird setup for the PC conferences that I don't think is exciting at all.
When they keep throwing to the other person, and
yeah.
The pacing is not great. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I'll still give it a 7 out of 10. It has a little one up over Microsoft because of the XCOM 2 expansion pack, but then Microsoft's pacing was better, so I think it's.
Well, it's like the wow factor. You have to. I always, when I'm grading these E3 conferences, I'm also the wow factor is a big deal. That's the thing. So that's why it's it kind of balances out to the same. But our next conference. Speaking
of wow factor, I'm just gonna give a little bit of a spoiler alert. This was probably my favorite press conference of E3 this year. So we're just gonna start off with that. Ubisoft's press conference, I think. So it starts off slow. I'll be honest. They announced that there's going to be a crossover with Mario and the Raven Rabbit, but then they spent a little too much time talking about it as opposed to actually showing it to us. They get what's his name to come out on stage with some weird ass gun. What's his name again?
The
Nintendo guy.
Miyamoto.
Yeah, they get Miyamoto to come on stage with some weird gun, and then they take some pictures with it and stuff. It was a pretty cool moment. And then when they actually showed us the game, though, the game looks, first of all, the art style is amazing. I love when people they don't rely too much on photorealism to make their games look good. This just looks like a beautiful game that could probably run on the Wii.
And it was really surprising to see this playing like XCOM.
I was just about to get to that. You didn't I was building it up, Tanner, and
I had to steal it more.
They're walking through, and I'm like, okay, this looks like a Mario game, whatever. And then they walk into this place, and it turns into XCOM.
I was half expecting to be like, "Hello, Commander, it's me, Mario."
Yeah, straight up. This is XCOM. There's you have the cover, you have the movement arrows, you have all that stuff, you have flanking bonuses. I was like, this is XCOM. Now, to be fair, Miyamoto was like that. Okay, he wants them to do the game, but only if they'll make the Mario game that no one has ever made before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know what? Mission accomplished, Ubisoft.
That's true. I mean, I think they specifically said that when they gave the IP to Ubisoft to play around with, they said you did no platformers. You're not allowed to make a platformer. You have to make something else.
Now, here's the really important question. Is there going to be permadeath in this game?
Is there going to be an Iron Man mode? Because I have to know. I have to have my Iron Man mode. When Luigi dies, he has to stay fucking dead.
Imagine that. Murdering Mario in a Mario game. Anyway, moving on. So then Ubisoft showed like a bunch of other stuff. So they showed the Crew 2.
Before we go to the Crew 2, I will say that I kind of wish the rabbits weren't there. Because the rabbits are
obnoxious. That's what you're looking for.
You know what the rabbits are? I described them to one friend. And he said it was perfect. The rabbits are the Ubisoft equivalent of the Minions.
Ha! That's a very good. That's a very good analogy. They were cool, but then they overdid them, and now we just want them to die. Hopefully there's permadeath in this game, so I can have all the rabbits get murdered.
That's true. That's got the points for them for making the rabbits the enemy. So give them credit where credit's due.
But yeah, then they showed up the Crew 2, which looks okay. It's they added boats and planes. There were motorcycles and monster trucks were already added in an expansion pack for the Crew, so those aren't new. But they added boats and planes, and I saw that, and I didn't honestly. I'll be honest, I didn't like the fact that they were adding boats and planes. If they just announced the Crew 2 with cars, bikes, and monster trucks, I would have been like, okay, cool. But then, because here's the thing, the Crew's driving mechanics were terrible. Like that was the biggest issue with the game. The driving mechanics were not great, right? Then they make a sequel, and instead of doubling down and fixing the mechanics, now to be fair, they might have doubled down and fixed the mechanics. But then them introducing new vehicles to pilot does not instill confidence in me believing that them spreading themselves even thinner.
You know what? That's a very good point because, there's different types of racing vehicle games. Like you can have, your car racing games. There's your boat racing games, your wave racer, and stuff like that, right? Now, the thing is that if the Crew had a lot of problems, doing a, car racing game, then what confidence do I have that they're going to be able to do a car/boat/plane game?
Yeah. I just don't see what the planes and the boats add. I just don't, because part of the thing with the Crew, that like the big thing with the Crew was that you can, so it was an open world, and then you can just transform so say you're driving down the road, and then someone challenges you to a rally race. You just transform your car into the rally version of the car, and then into the NASCAR version of the car, and then you drive there. Then you finish that race and you're going, and then you see some dudes want to do an off-road mission. You just transform your car into an off-road car. But it's always the same car, right? That was the key. That was one of the. It was supposed to be like an RPG, and this was your character, and you just change your gear to handle different scenarios.
Right.
But now it's like you're gonna have to change the vehicle completely. So a little bit of that is lost. It's not a big deal, obviously. At the end of the day, if the driving mechanics are good, I'll pick it up. But because I really just want one racing game. I'm like that. Why can't either of you idiots get it right? Like Need for Speed drops the ball, the Crew drops the ball. So now we have a Need for Speed sequel and a Crew sequel. If this time next year I'm sitting here talking about how I still don't have a racing game that I want to play. Anyway, so the Crew looked pretty cool. They announced a black sail. They announced a black. They announced a pirate.
Yeah. They announced the pirate game. I see.
It's Skull and Bones. I believe is what the game called, and they literally just took the pirate part of Assassin's Creed Black Flag and built a game around it. Like, this isn't me being facetious. They actually said this. They
said this. Now, granted, I think it looks pretty damn cool.
It looks pretty cool. I'm looking forward to seeing more. One thing that worried me. So they announced the game, and I'm like, okay, this looks cool. And they're like, okay, it's gonna be an online game, and I'm like, an online game from Ubisoft? I can already hear the servers crashing.
That's true. Oh God, they're gonna be using Uplay. Fuck.
I can already hear the servers crashing. I was like, oh no.
God damn it, Ubisoft! Can't you just? It sucks. It sucks because it's like I want to support their online. Some of their online games are pretty good. I like Rainbow Six Siege, but fuck, Uplay sucks.
Yeah, you play sucks. Like I wanted to buy For Honor, but I was like, I'm not buying For Honor at launch. This is Ubisoft. This shit is gonna. These servers are gonna be shit at launch. So yeah, I'm definitely not buying this Skull and Bones at launch. But it looks pretty cool.
I still conceptually, I think it looks really cool, and like literally, like the naval combat was one of the best parts of Assassin's Creed 4, and just putting it into a different game and building around it, I think is a fantastic idea. It's an efficient and fantastic idea because you can reuse assets.
so, so anyway, in addition, we finally saw some gameplay of Far Cry 5.
We saw Far Cry 5. We got Far. Yeah, you know, to be fair, Far Cry 5 looks cool. Looks real cool.
Yeah, it looks cool. That's pretty much all I have to say. It looks like Far Cry. There's a dog.
There's a dog, you know, because dogs work. Well, they also showed like I guess how these characters are gonna work. Like it's almost like you can call them in like assists, kind of.
Yeah.
But that looks. I think that's actually pretty cool because it allows you to tackle different like. Because one of the best things about Far Cry, because I played a lot of Far Cry 3, right? Mm-hmm. And the best thing about Far Cry was finding creative ways to take down enemy encampments. So it's like, you know, I'm going to climb a tree and I'm going to snipe them, you know, from afar. Or I'm going to release a tiger, you know, that they have caged nearby and have the tiger just maul them all up. Or my favorite was aggroing. I shot a bear with a shotgun and I had him chase me while I ran into a camp. And all the guards all went, what the fuck? And the bear just tore them to shreds.
Oh, I didn't even know you could do stuff like that.
Yeah, you know, yeah, you can totally. It's kind of sandboxy. So that's why I'm looking at Far Cry 5 and I'm like, okay, they're just expanding on the things you can do. You can call in people to shoot them from afar. You know, they're gonna have, you know, riding shotgun and shooting, you know, people with skeet bullets and shit like that. You know, and I like the Americana feel to it. You know, because it feels like we don't. It's not a setting that has been overdone yet. You know.
No. Yeah, and you get to kill like actual Americans, which is a rarity in video games. You know?
Look at that! Look at
that! You're usually killing Nazis, or like
usually
zombies,
killing
Nazi
out of everything. Like hell, even Bethesda's like, we're still killing Nazis. Like, come on, guys, this is what we do.
Yeah, exactly. But these dudes are like, nah, man, you can kill Americans. Like, so I was like, that's pretty interesting. Hats off to them for that. But yeah, that looked pretty cool. Then they showed the new Assassin's Creed. It's weird. So like the trailer opens up and I'm like, oh my god, this game is beautiful. First of all, right?
Yeah.
Then, you know, I'm watching like a 20-minute gameplay video and I'm like, wow, this game is beautiful. And I didn't realize how much I wanted a game set in ancient Egypt until I'm looking at a game set in ancient Egypt, right?
So so what makes you say that specifically? Is it the combat or is it more just Assassin's Creed like?
No, I mean like just like the aesthetic, you know, the areas, the you know like for a lot of video games you're playing like the samey areas, you know.
Right.
But like Egypt's a unique area that we haven't checked out yet. This isn't like a frozen mountain like Skyrim. These aren't like big open green fields like The Witcher. This is unique, you know. Yeah. Like it's
you don't get Egypt is not exactly a setting for most games, or at least not many AAA games.
Yeah, when the desert, right? You know, I'm now, with that said, when I actually started watching them play the game, I immediately lost interest. Like immediately. The gameplay just looks so blah. Now, to be fair, the person that I was watching playing did not know what they were doing.
Oh, yeah. They did not have any fucking idea what they were doing.
At all. The person that was playing was a potato, like straight up. It was hilarious because, okay, so he gets to this place that he's supposed to sneak into, right? And he summons his eagle, the eagle flies up and it scouts the area, it like tags a bunch of guys, and then he just walks in and he gets spotted by literally the first person.
I know. I was like, this, I felt like they needed someone who, see, that's the thing, that's part of the reason why it's like, if you're gonna show off your game, if it has to be live, have somebody play test that demo over and over again until they have it perfect. You know? Like, that's a big deal. That's a big deal because otherwise you get shit shows. What was Oh, and remember, this was way back. The shit show that was Tobuscus playing Assassin's Creed 3. I
Oh,
think that might have been one of the worst things I've ever seen.
wait, was it the one where the game froze?
It was the one in which he was just fucking around live on stage instead of showing the game, and it actively made the game look like shit. Like, it was kind of amazing to a certain extent. But I don't know. I mean, honestly, I really like the setting. I think as
I
far
love
as an
it.
Assassin's Creed game goes, this is a good setting for them to choose. I like the eagle mechanic. I like sending your eagle and kind of getting an aerial view and planning out your attack, your way of entry.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool concept. Honestly, like it's kind of like I think the thing that sucks is that like I think this is probably the most interesting Assassin's Creed that's come out in a really long time. But that being
Mhm.
said, it still has the unfortunate, it has the unfortunate taste of like Assassin's Creed in which you like it has the when I say that I mean like I'm not trying to throw like Assassin's Creed on completely under the bus. What I'm trying to say is that because we've seen so many Assassin's Creed games, right, and a lot of them play very similar to each other,
There was a been there, done that
there's
feeling
a
when you're.
been there, done that feel, like taste to this. As creative and different as they're trying to make it, you know, it's like I give them credit. It's an Egyptian main character. That's
Yeah.
cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
Egyptian main character. I think actually the lead developer on the thing was Egyptian. He comes up and his name was like Ismail or something like that. And I was like,
Oh,
hey, look at
look at
that.
that! Look at that!
And to be fair, he was also the lead man on Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which a lot of people will say was the last good Assassin's
Oh, okay.
Creed.
See, that gives me more confidence in this game because
Yeah.
if he's working on this one, because four, I consider four like the last good one to come out. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, he worked on that because it's funny when I saw him, I was like that. Oh wow, they got the token Darky and they put him on the Assassin's Creed Origin, and my friend was like that. No, no, no. He's actually worked with Ubisoft for a while. He worked on Black Flag, and I was like, oh really? Okay, okay. And then people said the same thing that I said. People were like that. Oh wow, Black Flag was like the last Assassin's Creed game that didn't make me want to punch a baby. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so so yeah, I'm excited. But yeah, all in all, it looks cool. I do share the same feeling with you that
Hmm.
there was a little bit of I actually just looked it up right now. Yeah, Ashraf Ismail. Yeah, he was the director on Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and he's the director on Origin. So there
Okay.
you go.
I have more that knowledge gives me more confidence in this game being good. Um, yeah, just that alone because I feel like that way there was good direction in that game.
Yeah, it's
So
funny. I also sorry, I also double checked. He was not the director on Rogue or
our
Unity
Unity
or one sec, or Syndicate. So,
or
oh my God,
Syndicate.
there's actually a really good chance that this is gonna
I
be a good
know,
game.
I know. You saying that has like given me a little bit more of like, okay, this might be an Assassin's Creed that I can actually, check out.
Yeah, same here. Because when my friend was like, okay, he worked on Black Flag, I was like, okay, but he probably worked on the other Assassin's Creeds after Black Flag, which were all shit.
Yeah, well,
But no,
like
this is
the problem is that like Assassin's Creed gets passed to different Ubisoft employees all the time, and that's part of the issue is that there's no consistent team working on it. But anyway, that's a whole other discussion. Let's talk about the big
oh
reveal.
my God. So the trailer starts, and it's like I forget the name. It's like Ubisoft something, and my friend is like, okay. Then you see two characters, and you can't really see who they are. Then the camera pans a little bit, and one of the characters is a pig, and I'm like, oh
Oh no.
no, did they actually do it?
Yeah,
And they did. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is officially a thing.
yeah.
Now, I will state personally, I did not play Beyond Good and Evil 1, and I'm pretty sure I am not in the minority. That's one of the reasons why it took us so long to get a sequel. So, personally, I've never understood what the big deal was about the franchise. I'm not saying this from like a oh, I looked at it and I was like, I don't see what the big deal is. I've never looked into the franchise before. I saw
Yeah.
the box art and it didn't look interesting, so I was like, whatever, right? So I've never even looked into the franchise before. But I know that this was a critically acclaimed franchise, and it's generally it and Psychonauts are considered those games that were like critically acclaimed but no one played. So
Yeah,
anyway,
like it fits into that category. I knew of Beyond Good, to and Evil, and I also knew about how
to an evil.
Beyond Good. God damn it, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Sorry, Beyond 2 Good. God damn it. Okay. This is gonna reverse, go back in time, and fix my fuck up. Okay, so I knew about Beyond Good and Evil 2's like really, really fucked up development in the sense where it's like they have been trying to make this sequel for so goddamn long.
The
Like,
guy got on stage and he started crying. Like, I'm not
yeah.
even exaggerating. He was on stage and you could see this guy was just awash with emotion. Sorry for cutting you off.
Oh no. Keep going.
Yeah, Michel Ancel, like that's the dude behind Beyond Good and Evil. He comes on stage and he's just like, first of all, the crowd loses it, right?
Yeah.
Because like this is like right now, we last E3 we were like, what games are left that people keep asking for that we haven't gotten yet? Half-Life 3 might be the only one left now.
Yeah.
you know. Oh yeah, Cyberpunk 2077, which by the way was not at E3 this year, and I was actually pretty sure.
No, it's not at E3 because it's currently being held hostage.
Let's not even get.
We're not gonna get into that, but that was something that I read and could not fucking believe.
So anyway, so the setting looks sick. So it looks like you're gonna be playing like space pirates, which oh my god, if you're actually gonna be playing space pirates in a video game. I'm just going to lose it because I mean we're like those are space bounty hunters, but whatever. I was gonna say Cowboy Bebop, but yeah, man, space pirates are just like one of the coolest and least utilized tropes in video games. I think it's such a cool setting. So yeah, man. If you're actually gonna be playing Space Pirates, then I am down. So the game looks pretty cool. It's still the same development team. It's Ubisoft Markiplier, Montpellier.
Wait,
Montpellier.
What did you just say? You're making fun of me going Beyond 2. You called Ubisoft Markiplier?
I was going off memory. Okay, that's
Markiplier is a YouTuber.
Anyway,
Ubisoft. I'm trying to imagine what Ubisoft Markiplier would be. So just Markiplier videos, but the Ubisoft logo is just like stapled on top of his face.
Anyway, it's being developed by Ubisoft Montpellier, and it's gonna have the same designer, Michel Ancel.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of hope. Now, obviously, they came up on stage and they spoke about some shit about online multiplayer and shit like this. So I don't know how to feel about that, but we shall see. We didn't show us any gameplay, but they didn't give us anything. You just give us a CGI trailer, which usually I criticize CG trailers, but when you are announcing a sequel to something that has been asked for this long, then I'm like, yeah, sure, give us a CGI.
Yeah,
trailer.
like it was a good I would consider this like it was a solid, awesome trailer, CGI trailer, similar to like how I felt when I was watching the FF7 remake trailer. Like I was just like, oh, I'm so happy to finally see this.
Yeah. It's gonna be set before the original game, so there's that. You won't be playing as Jade or any of the characters from the original game, at least not at first. So we'll see how that goes. But all in all, man, I'm excited. I'm excited too because now that there's a sequel, I'm gonna start doing more research and finding out what people loved about that first game so much and looking. Maybe that's a bad idea. With the sequel coming.
Well, honestly, like the game is on Steam right now for like $10. So if I see some stuff from the sequel and I might be like, okay, I actually want to, because I'm the kind of person that it's like if I want to get invested in like an interesting game or universe or story, I want to play it in order,
Yeah.
Like really, I'm kind of a nitpicker for that. But overall, I was really impressed with Ubisoft's conference. It was actually surprisingly above average because usually Ubisoft's conferences are kind of like they're kind of meh, Whereas this year they went up and beyond what I was expecting from them.
Yeah, honestly, I'd give this press conference a solid 9 out of 10. It
Mm-hmm.
had all the things that make a good E3 press conference. You know, they showed support for their old games. So there's a new expansion pack for Steep. There was they announced the sequel for the Crew. But then they announced some brand new games. They had one brand new IP, Skull and Bones. They
Mm-hmm.
announced the XCOM Mario game. Then they showed the stuff that you expect: new Assassin's Creed, new Far Cry, and then they finished it all off with an absolute bang, with an absolute like right hook with Beyond Good and Evil 2, a game that people have been asking for the entirety of the PlayStation 3 generation. By the way,
Yeah.
literally the entire of that generation, people were like, "When are we getting a sequel? When are we getting a sequel?" So the first game came out in 2003. So
Yeah.
there's people that are watching this press conference that were born when the first game came out.
Yeah, I know, but it's honestly, I'm if I had to grade them, I grade them high. I give them an 8.5. I give them an 8.5 for sure. The really solid stuff. They showed off a bunch of new stuff. They showed off some stuff that we knew about, and there were a couple of interesting surprises. So overall, I think they did a pretty solid job, Ubisoft. So
Yeah, I can't think of anything that I would have liked to see. Okay, I was because you know how they always finish the press conferences with a brand new game, right?
mhm.
I was expecting it to be Splinter Cell this year. Because sorry, they always bring back one of their old franchises every year. Last year they brought back not Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon. The year
Yeah.
before that, I think it was Rainbow Six. I was expecting either Splinter Cell or Prince of Persia. I would have never
Never.
guessed.
See, I was more expecting Prince of Persia than Beyond Good or Evil 2.
Yeah, so solid. I can't think of a single thing that I would have liked from a press conference that they didn't have in their press conference. So I give them a solid 9 out of 10.
Mhm.
So moving on to the last two, Sony and Nintendo. So
Nintendo.
first of all, Sony's press conference was. We'll go through it bit by bit, and then
It started out a little bit rocky, and that was mostly due to the technical difficulties.
Okay, so I found it hilarious though. So the director was and they have this band playing some music, right? And I'm like, oh my god, Sony being pretentious again.
Hey, I like the band. I like the
The
orchestra.
band was good. The music was good. I just thought that it was, because remember how
You
last had an orchestra? They're like, oh, look at us, we have an orchestra. So I was like, oh, Sony being pretentious again. So anyway, I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Then the band finishes playing, and then the trailer starts, and there's no sound. And I'm like, does anyone else see the irony here of
Yeah.
Sony going out of their way to get a band to play the song of this
Hey,
game?
it was kind of funny that it's like
And then they play
the audio
the game, and
did
there's no audio.
the audio did come in about maybe halfway through the trailer. It did, and I was like, okay, thank God. I will say this though, I actually did like the Uncharted trailer because I actually like Chloe a lot more than Nathan, and seeing more stuff with her. It's one of the thing. It's one of those things where it's like I might end up getting this. I might end up getting an Uncharted 4 just so that I can play this. Or if
You
it's
know, Lost Legacy
it's
standalone,
standalone. You know what? Fuck it. I might just buy this because I like literally because I like the idea of playing as Chloe, because she was probably one of the cooler parts of 2, and I really liked Uncharted 2, and that was actually like it kind of sucks because if the trailer didn't have that the technical difficulties, then it probably would have been a pretty good start. It probably would have been a pretty good start. But then they did move on and they showed Horizon, which also looked pretty cool.
Yeah, they showed some Horizon DLC. So Horizon is getting some Skyrim DLC. Sorry, I couldn't help it. The Horizon is getting
Skyrim lives on in every game.
in every game. Shit, what's it called? Like the Frozen Winds or something like that. DLC. Unfortunately, it was a story DLC, and I can't. My audio still hadn't come in by this point, so I was just like, okay, this looks cool, but this looks like Horizon. Because they didn't really show any of the new stuff, and then I couldn't hear any of the dialogue, so I'm like, this looks cool. But yeah, new DLC for Horizon, which is cool. I always like, I love when developers keep supporting their games even after they're done. It looks cool.
Yeah.
Then they showed Days Gone, which I'm convinced is the least necessary video game in history. Because I was just watching it. And
I will say this about Days Gone. Okay, Days Gone as it started. Honestly, Days Gone is actually starting to fascinate me more than anything because Sony is really pushing it, like really hard, and it doesn't. I wouldn't say it looks even bad, but it looks conceptually like we've seen a million games do a lot of stuff like this before. So I'm fascinated by why Sony really, really, really is pushing this game like no fucking tomorrow. Like, it's crazy.
There's like I'm fascinated by this game, but not because the game is interesting. I'm fascinated because I want to know why Sony thinks anyone gives a damn.
I will say this though, in the game's defense, I will say this: this was a much better trailer than their last one.
This was a much better trailer than the last one. I was barely paying attention, but yeah, this was a much better trailer than the.
Well, because they actually, because one, it wasn't just zombies. They actually showed like. They showed interactions with the other humans, and, I thought, okay, there's some stealth mechanics to this game. You can, move a bear trap and cause a distraction. And I like the idea of using a zombie horde to your advantage. I think that's kind of a cool idea. Like, I mean, other games have done it, but I mean, like, it honestly, like, even though the trailer really didn't impress me, it impressed me more than the last one. The last one, I was like, wow, this is really, we're going with this.
Well, in the immortal words of Captain Price, it's not hard to improve on garbage. So
this is true.
But yeah. It was a better trailer than the last one. I'll give it that. But anyway, whatever. We both know no one in this cares about that. Let's move on to the next point because this is where things get interesting. Yeah. Hey, hear that, people? That's Tanner having a seizure.
Okay, context. Gotta talk about context. So, you have to understand, Fawaz, you have to understand that for me, and when I saw this, I had to cover my mouth because I was ready to scream, because I couldn't believe that it was actually happening, because I knew what it was immediately. I knew it was the Golem Blade from Monster Hunter. And when I saw that, I was like, no, this can't be real. This can't be real. This can't be happening. Like, this is something that I expected maybe to happen in 4 years from now. Like, and because you have to understand, like, Monster Hunter 1 and 2 came out on the PlayStation 2, and then it moved to Nintendo, and it stayed pretty much exclusively with Nintendo. And the other big thing is that Monster Hunter has never updated their graphics. They've never made a high-fidelity Monster Hunter, period. So I was expecting, okay, we're getting a slightly better version on the Switch. It looks nicer, so that maybe we can get a fully-fledged Switch version that looks solid. Like, not even like, PS4 levels, but like pretty good, right? Because as a kid, because I was a teenager when Monster Hunter came out, I always dreamed of like, oh man, what will that PS3 version of Monster Hunter look like when it comes out? I can't wait. And that never happened. That never happened. So when I got to see this high fidelity Monster Hunter in all of its glory, I was at a loss for words. I was through the goddamn roof. And the trailer was, and not only that, the trailer showed like an evolution of mechanics. You know what? Obviously, this makes perfect sense. Why not put a grappling hook in Monster Hunter? It makes perfect sense. The aerial combat is great in Monster Hunter 4 and onward. Why not just evolve onto that? And you get like these cool shots of where he's like, he's getting chased by the dinosaur looking thing, and he grapple hooks away, and he triggers a bomb to drop like a cliff on this dinosaur, and all these cool things. And then, I was so ready to see the shot of Rathalos come in, and I was like, yeah, there we go. There's Rathalos. There's my boy. And there were some more details that they showed off that they didn't show they didn't really make it clear in the trailer. The thing that I thought was a little bit weird about the trailer was at first they kind of made it seem like it was a single player game, which I thought is weird because Monster Hunter is known as a really, really good multiplayer game, right?
Yeah.
But then they went, no. There is a shot where you actually see a bunch of other hunters flying in while they're grapple hooking these pterodactyls, right?
Yeah.
And that's the implication of multiplayer. And one of the cool things that they talked about is that they're getting rid of zones. And this is another thing that I'm glad to see them finally do, because the thing about Monster Hunter is that there's maps with zones, right? There's like zone 1, 2, or 3, and when you hit the little path that links them together, it's a loading screen, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that Monster Hunter has always done. And the problem with that is that they did that for the longest time because of balance reasons, but it's immersion breaking. You know, when you're traveling this pretty nice environment and then it's like loading screen, and then you're in zone 3, right?
Yeah.
So what they've said is that the maps aren't going to have loading screens. They're going to be interconnected, and that's going to change how you track monsters and how you interact with the map itself. And they also talked about how it's going to be drop-in multiplayer, because one of the other things that Monster Hunter did is that like you would go to a lobby, and then you would set up a quest, and then you would go on that quest. There was only one problem: you couldn't join a quest that had already started. So you would have to wait until that quest was finished and join the next quest afterwards. Now that's completely gone. It's going to be drop in, drop out. And I think that's actually really cool, because there's going to be times where, like, you know, there's going to be hunts where some asshole decides, screw it, I don't want to be part of this anymore, and then they abandon quests, right?
Yeah.
And now finally it's like, oh, I could just wait a couple of minutes and somebody will jump in. And that's a big deal. But overall, I could go on and on and on, but overall, the only thing that I didn't like it was at the end. When he pulled out the spit, I was like, oh yeah, getting really, really hyped. But they didn't play the music. They didn't play the cooking music. And I was like, no, you forgot the cooking music, guys. Come on.
Goddamn nerd. But yeah, it's funny because like whenever there's just things that I see and I'm like, oh my god, I can actually hear Tanner squealing right now. And while I was watching that Sony press conference, and like he's like that, oh, this is a game that has a cult following and stuff, and I'm like, okay. And I see the grass, I'm like, okay. Then I see the gigantic sword, and I'm like, no. Because remember, like a couple podcasts ago, I was like that, okay, maybe this Monster Hunter XX is a precursor to them doing like a proper Monster Hunter on a console. Apparently Capcom was a couple steps ahead of me, and they already had one ready. Because I'm like that, holy shit, we haven't had this is the first console Monster Hunter since PS2.
Yeah.
Since the first one, right?
Yeah,
so, yeah.
It is. Like, I mean, if you want to count like the Wii one or the Wii U one, but this is the first. I would say this is the first Sony, or like current gen Monster Hunter.
Because it's also on the Xbox One.
Yeah, it's always on the Xbox One and PC too, which I thought was really surprising. But oh man, I couldn't be happier with that announcement. I was so happy. I just, I had the biggest.
Let's move away from this before Tanner. We spent like 2 hours just talking about Monster Hunter. So anyway, I was looking at this and I was like, I could promise myself picking this up. It'll be because I know how much you love these games. So and I've always been open to trying the games out. When Monster Hunter first started, it started on the PS2, and like I said, during the PS2 era, I was on dial-up internet. So when I saw this game and people were like that, this is a game that's all about online multiplayer. I was like, okay, cool, no thanks. So I've always wanted to try these games out. So yeah, I mean, obviously, I was gonna say if you pick it up, but I know you're gonna pick it up. So when you pick it up, I might pick it up too, depending on when it comes out. And give it a shot. Give it a shot.
Trust me, I would say it's worth it to give it a shot.
In my notes, I said I probably would because fuck Capcom.
Yeah.
However, to elaborate on that point, so they showed Marvel Infinite after.
No, they didn't. They didn't show Marvel. They actually showed Shadow. But if you want to talk about Marvel, we can do that.
Okay, let's talk about Marvel. We'll talk about Shadow. So yeah, they showed Marvel Infinite, and I can't think of, other than Star Wars Battlefront, I can't think of another game that has so successfully killed any and all excitement I had for it. This game looks like shit. This game actually looks like shit. The scene where Chun-Li is talking to Thanos, I was like, holy shit. If you had just taken Chun-Li's model from Marvel 3 and put it in this game, she would have looked better than she currently did. How? Gamora looks terrible, but honestly, whatever. I already accepted this game was gonna look like crap. Even when I started getting excited for the game, right? I was like, it shows a terrible art style. The UI looks horrible. the UI looks like a place. The UI looks like a placeholder, but whatever. The biggest thing for me. So a couple weeks ago, there was a leak, a leaked roster, and I was like, hopefully this is not true because this list is terrible.
Oh, the list. Oh, yeah, we never talked about the list because I did see.
Yeah, because I don't really like touching on rumors, right? But the list is terrible. It ports like 16 of it's first of all it's 24 characters, right? 24 characters in a versus game is pathetic. Mm-hmm. Then it borrows by my count, and I probably counted wrong. 16 of the 24 were just copied and pasted from Marvel 3. So there's what, eight new characters if my math is correct. Keep in mind, one of these 8 new characters, I'm giving Hawkeye and Rocket Raccoon a pass because I'm not sure if they've been redesigned yet. So that's so
I'm pretty sure Rocket is gonna have a Groot assist, like it's gonna be like a dual character.
Yeah. I watched some of his gameplay, and he actually, thanks for reminding me. He's not been redesigned. He's been giving some new moves, but no, he's still the old Rocket Raccoon. So actually, it's 18. 18 of the 24 characters are like straight from Marvel 3. No X-Men. No Fantastic Four.
I mean, okay, here's the thing. Like, the X-Men, I think we all knew the X-Men thing was coming because of the license. Like, and that's... I mean,
Marvel is still publishing X-Men comics.
Right? Like, okay, well, here's it's Fox owns the license to the characters, Fawaz. It would be a whole friggin' lawsuit for them to do that.
Fox owned the license to the characters when Marvel 3 was made. Fox owned the license to the characters when Marvel 2 was made. This is not about legal stuff. This is about spite. This is about Marvel wanting to spite Fox because they're upset with Fox for not giving them back the movie license.
Just giving them back the license. Okay.
Because Fox only owns the movie licenses. They don't own it for anything else. That's why they still have X-Men cartoons. That's why they can still put... That's why, like I said, the X-Men were in Marvel 3. They were in Marvel
I don't know. I don't know if that's necessarily true because I feel like there's a specific. Because I remember reading somewhere that specifically the reason why there was most likely not going to be X-Men was due to the license. And I know I mean they might have the license to do that in other things, but I don't know if the video game license is a whole other thing or I don't know. I don't know enough about it, but yeah, no, keep going.
Well, so here's the thing, right? They've had the license since the first X-Men movie in 2001, right?
Right.
Marvel 3 came out after the first X-Men movie in 2001. So that they've released video game Marvel 3, X-Men Destiny, they've released X-Men games, they've released video games with X-Men stuff in it. No, like this is spite. This is Marvel upset with Fox and wanting to punish us by punishing Fox or some bullshit. Anyway, so the roster is shit. The roster is like, it's funny, I've never gone from 100 to 0 so quick because like the trailer starts and I see Dante, I'm like, oh yes, Dante made it in, and I see Arthur and I'm like, shit, if Arthur made it in, then the list is true, and the list is true. It's literally Marvel, it's Capcom versus Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's literally nobody in there that is not from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's no obscure characters in this game. The most obscure character in this game is Nova.
You want to know who's You want to know who's the actual most obscure character in this game? Fucking Monster Hunter.
Yeah,
okay. That was the reason. Okay, that was the reason why I was the trailer didn't really piss me off that much. I was just kind of like, okay, it's like the art style's not really doing much, but whatever. But I was laughing my ass off because I want to see what Chun-Li and Ryu would be doing in a Monster Hunter map, and just see that interaction. Like I just something because Monster Hunter. Even though it's a really popular series, I wouldn't say it's super mainstream.
It's not big in. It's big in Japan. It's not big over here.
Not
That's
big
one of the reasons why we haven't had a Monster Hunter on like a PS4 on Xbox.
And I'm fascinated to see if there's a whole like story part that's in Monster Hunter Land. I would be so fascinated to see that. But I mean, like I will admit though, I did like the fact that hey, listen, if you want to try the story demo, it's online now, and they did that with Resident Evil 7, and I actually do kind of like that, like just saying like, hey, for people who can't make it to E3 but actually want to see something from E3, here's your option. I actually kind of like that.
I wish they had given us a training mode demo, because right now for the story demo you have to play through story mode. If it was something where it was literally if they just given us training mode and you could pick the characters and just mess around with them in training mode, I would have downloaded it. I'm not gonna download it. I don't. But the people that have played it have said good things about it. They said that the game feels like fun. But however, the people who have said this stuff I'm not sure how what's that word I'm looking for? How credible they are, because it's like so one of the lead designers on the game is Peter Combophine Rosas, who used to be a fighting game player. He used to be one of the biggest fighting game players, and a lot of people who are saying good things about the game were his friends, are still his friends. So for me, I'm like that. These guys are not going to say bad things about this game. Like if Tanner made a video game, no matter how upset I was about it, I wouldn't go on Twitter saying, "Man, this game is shit." Like I just wouldn't do that, right?
So I don't know. I feel like he would find a way to do that somehow.
Wow, is that how little you think of me, Tanner?
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You're a good guy, Fawaz. I believe in you.
But yeah, let's not talk because you know me. The same way I didn't want to talk about Dragon Ball Fighters too much. Let's not talk about this too much because I can do a whole podcast on Marvel Infinite solo. So anyway, the next thing, or well, not the next thing chronologically, but whatever. The next thing was Shadow of the Colossus remake. That was what caught me. So when they revealed it at the press conference, I was like, because it was a remaster, right? It looks amazing. Like there was very very nice. They messed with the focus, right? So when you're fighting against the Colossus was in focus, but the player was blurred out, and it looks beautiful. It looked amazing, but I was like, okay, it's just like I played this game and the controls are shit. So, but then when I heard it was a remake, I was like, okay, so this gives me hope. Now obviously the two main issues I had with Shadow of the Colossus was one, the frame rate, and two, the controls. The frame rate is going to be fixed. I'm 100% sure.
The trailer shows that off. It's like the frame rate's flat out fixed.
Somebody at that studio needs to get fired. Like straight up. If you cannot make a PS2 game run at a stable frame rate on a PS4, you shouldn't be programming video games.
Yeah.
What I'm hoping is that we also get some upgrades to some of the things of the game that didn't age very well, like the controls, like the camera. So
now the good thing I will say, because I played because the weird thing about this is the weird thing about it, is that this is being done by Bluepoint, I think.
Yeah.
Bluepoint. Now they're the ones that did the PS3 HD remasters of Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. Now I played Shadow of the Colossus HD, and it was a really really good remaster. Like the frame rate was fixed. I actually felt the controls were better, and the camera was also fixed as well. So I didn't have any problems with the camera, and it was a really really good remaster. Obviously, when I saw this, I was like, and this was right after Monster Hunter, so I was like just continuing to lose my shit, because people who don't know, Shadow of the Colossus is kind of one of my favorite games of all time. I love that game to death, despite its flaws. I don't care. I fucking love that game. Seeing like, oh my god, this is gonna be high fidelity like graphics with a game that I love. Like, it's just going to be great. I don't care if I'm essentially buying this game 3 times. I don't care, because I love this game to death. And, oh my god, I can't, because I feel like it's going to be so smooth. And the one thing I will say, though, is that I do hope that they add a little bit of bonus content, because I like to see, they had like a little bit of a speedrun mode in the remaster. I know that some of the stuff is kind of like, immersion annihilating, but for someone who's already played the game, like have a mode that's like the basic like pure mode, right? And then have like some other modes that you can play around as well. Like, if there was like a boss rush mode, I think that would be a lot of fun.
It's a really nice announcement. Shout outs to that. Then they showed a bunch of gameplay for their first party games. God of War looks pretty cool. It looks like it's gonna be very very story driven, so that's interesting. Detroit, worst name ever. Looks interesting. You know what's really funny about that? So I'm watching the trailer and I'm like, this main character looks familiar, right? And then I can't remember what happened. I think I was gonna game up, and then it was like the Grey's Anatomy actor Jesse, whatever his name is, on his role in Detroit. And I'm like, there we go. I knew he looked like him. So yeah, this dude from Grey's Anatomy plays the main guy. So with Detroit, worst name ever, I really really do feel like there's a lot of promise here, and if they can pull off the things that they're promising, the branching story,
Mm-hmm.
an actually branching story, not this rubbish that developers are always giving us, where you make this decision and then 10 hours later a character is wearing he's a Chicago Bulls fan as opposed to a New York Knicks fan. And I'm like, wow, thanks a lot. Thanks for these awesome ramifications. So
Mm-hmm.
if the stuff that they showed us actually matters, this is gonna be a very unique experience, and I'm excited. Then they showed Spider Man.
I just wanted to talk about Detroit just a little
Sorry,
bit.
sorry.
So the thing about Detroit, I was looking at it, I was like, the thing that I'm liking so far is I like the setup. I think the setup is interesting because I think the setup that they're going for is that you have you have a robot, or sorry, you have an android who is just becoming, fully aware and realizing the shitty state. Kara, that's the first one. You have
Yeah,
the detective who's working for the humans, who's just trying to solve the case, solve crimes and stop the other, basically hunt the other rogue androids, and then you have the leader of that rebellion. So I think that's a pretty interesting dynamic to have for this type of game. I'm curious
yeah,
if there's going to be any more characters or if it's going to be just these three. I'd actually be fine if it was just these three, you know?
yeah.
Um, the thing I'm really worried about though is the thing about David Cage is that
Oh,
he can take a really interesting concept and fuck it up royally in
oh my God.
execution.
Here goes Tanner.
I'm sorry, but I hate I hate Beyond Two Souls. Like Beyond Two Souls was such a fucking disappointment. Like,
He's rotated, right? So like Fahrenheit was and then Heavy Rain was really good from what I hear,
yeah.
and then Beyond Two Souls was terrible. So he's due for
He's
a
due.
bounce.
He's due. That's why I'm like, I actually, despite how much I really didn't like Beyond Two Souls, I'm actually kind of want this game to be good. I actually do. As much as I want to shit on David Cage and how terrible of a writer he can be, like the thing, like I remember we talked about this earlier on a different podcast. The thing that makes me a little bit hopeful is that it's not gonna. It seems like there's not gonna be any magic, and when his stories don't have magic in it, they're okay. But once he
Yeah,
introduces magic into his stories, they become the most stupidest shit in the world.
yeah.
So
So yeah.
hopeful. But yeah, keep going, keep going.
So yeah. So then they showed off Spider Man, which pretty much looks like Arkham. Like Batman Arkham, but with combat, it's like they just took it straight from Arkham, which is fine. If you're gonna steal from the best.
Still from the best. Yeah.
And it looks like a really cool Spider-Man game. There's a lot of cool context sensitive stuff you can do, which I thought was cool. The demo I kind of drifted off when they went into the helicopter part because it was just like quick time events out the ass, and I hate quick time events. Like I absolutely hate quick time events.
Yeah.
So I was like, eh. But other than that, it looks cool. Yeah, it looked cool. It looked like a cool, fun Spider-Man game. There was a really, really cool Easter egg
Yeah. The
at the
stinger at
end.
the end. Yeah.
Yeah, so like they showed a demo, then they do their closing montage, then they cut back to the demo, and you see a kid recording, and then one dude's like, "Yo, let's go, Miles," and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's Miles Morales!" So that was pretty cool.
It was actually really funny because I remember when I was watching that trailer live, you could hear literally this one guy go, "What?" like from the audience.
So that was pretty awesome. For the like two people that don't know, Miles Morales, in the Ultimate Spider-Man universe, he takes up the mantle of Spider-Man after Peter Parker gets murdered at the hands of spoiler alert. After Peter Parker gets murdered at the hands of Norman Osborn. So yeah, like people have been begging for like a Miles Morales. People because the comic has like picked up. It's people love him. I think the character is here to stay at this point. So I don't see him going anywhere. He's not a gimmick anymore. He's an actual character. People absolutely love him. Have been begging for like for more of him in other media. Sony's actually making an animated Spider-Man movie with Miles Morales as the main character. So
Yeah.
yeah, his stock is rising. So it's cool to see him in there. We'll see if he's gonna be a playable character or if they're setting up for a sequel, which is a little presumptuous.
Well,
But
honestly, I hear a lot of people say that it would be bonanzas if it was a game with two Spider-Mans like they both tried to pick. They're like two Spider-Mans in the same game. Like, wouldn't that be nuts?
Yeah.
But overall, so I guess, do you want to go? I guess we can just go into gradings then, I guess?
Yeah. Overall, okay, so it's hard for me to grade this press conference, right? Because for me, the technical difficulties, they lasted throughout the entire press conference. So after the audio, I had constant lag issues. And, at first I thought that it was my internet, but it is the only literally after the press conference finished, I went to go watch something else. I think it was some other E3 press conference or some Gwent stream or something, and it was fine. So it leads me to, and then on top of that, looking at the stream chat, a lot of people were complaining about lag in the stream chat. So it leads me to believe that it wasn't just me, it wasn't just my shitty internet.
Well, it's that. See, I don't know, because it's like I like the audio difficulties. I got that, but I didn't I got a little bit of lag, but I didn't get a whole lot of lag. So I don't know if I was just lucky. I just might have been lucky.
I got a lot of lag. The entire Spider-Man day. That's probably the reason why I stopped paying attention, was because it kept lagging and kept lagging. So okay, so it's weird for me to grade. So I'll give them a 7, and here's why. So in terms of content, first of all, I want to give them credit for a couple of things. I was really worried they were going to do this coming into this press conference. They didn't focus too much on VR. They had like a solid 5-10 minutes where they shot through a bunch of VR games, and then it was done. They went back to the game. So hats off to them for that. They didn't spend too much time on third-party stuff. I was really worried about that when Destiny 2 got announced. The new Assassin's Creed was coming out. The new Star Wars Battlefront was coming out. I remember how in 2013, that was pretty much the entire press conference, just third-party games. So I was worried that they were going to do that. They did not. They gave Call of Duty a little trailer. They gave Destiny 2 a trailer so short, most of my friends actually forgot was at Sony's press conference. They didn't even show Assassin's Creed or Star Wars Battlefront at their press conference. So hats off to them for that. They showed a lot of first-party stuff. It was like first-party out the wazoo. They showed the Uncharted standalone expansion. They showed DLC for Horizon. Days Gone. I think that game looks like shit, but well, looks like shit is a strong word. I think that game looks forgettable, but whatever. Shadow of the Colossus remake, God of War, Detroit, and Spider-Man. Like, that's a lot of stuff.
First party stuff
on PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
Then they had a couple more third party. The other thing that added to my disappointment was the Marvel Infinite stuff. That really soured my taste for the rest of the press conference, because that was just bad after that thing happened, right?
Yeah.
So in terms of the actual content at the press conference, it was a solid press conference. If you took away the technical issues and the and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, I would have probably given this like an 8. But I just gotta take 1 point off for those two things.
That's completely fair. Yeah.
I think this was a really good press conference. I think Sony is starting to get an idea for what people see. I still remember with the PS3 when they would come on stage and they would have pie graphs of like sales and shit like that. So I'm so glad that they've realized that nobody cares, Sony.
Nobody
and they focused on what people come to E3 for, which is the games. So I want to give them credit for that. And all in all, it was a very good press conference. There was no really big wow moments. I mean, the big wow moment for you was Monster Hunter.
That's what I'm gonna say, and that's but yeah, I'll keep going.
There was nothing like crazy, but which is fine. For me, I don't need those. Like me, I come into E3 I expect to see the games that I know are going to be there, and anything else is gravy. So for me, I was like, the games, they showed the games, and the games that I was interested in still look interesting, and the games that I wasn't interested in don't look interesting. One last thing. This wasn't at the press conference, but I saw this afterwards, and I just want to throw this out there before I forget, because I know I'll forget. Apparently, Undertale is coming to PS4.
Yes, that is that they get. I watched that trailer. It was a pretty good trailer. They announced Undertale for the PS4, and it's coming to the Vita. And I love the way, and it's like, and also Vita, and they're like Undertale, part of a complete breakfast, and it just has a bowl of cereal. I feel like I might end up buying that because the collector's edition comes with the music box that comes with the theme. The music box plays the theme, and I love that theme so much. I might end up buying it. It depends on.
I'm definitely gonna buy it.
Sorry.
I'm definitely gonna buy it.
Oh, okay. That's right. Because you can finally try it out.
Yeah, I've heard way too many good things about. This was Yahtzee's Game of the Year for 2015.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Too many good things about this game. I have to just play it for myself to see to experience. I got to experience this for myself. So no, I'm definitely gonna buy it. I just once it's coming out in like August, I think. Actually, it's coming out soon. So yeah. But anyway, what were your grades going to be?
Honestly, I do agree. I do pretty much agree with you. The technical problems did kind of make things difficult, and like I feel like they didn't. I feel like there were some things where I was like, I wanted. There are certain things that I did really want. I was disappointed they didn't show Bloodborne 2. We didn't
Oh
get
my
like.
God! Don't get me started.
They didn't get like we didn't get any Last of Us 2 gameplay. I was bummed out by that. But like I always calculate, okay, how did I feel about the conference as a whole, and did it have its wow moments, right? And I mean, you saw me go 20 minutes about Monster Hunter, so I'm not gonna give this like a ridiculous score, but I'm gonna give it like a 7.5. I think I'm gonna give it a 7.5. It was a solid conference. I'm gonna give it a 0.5 for Monster Hunter alone, because it hit me in the nostalgia, and that is my weakness. That is my internal weakness that you can always get me.
That's a lot lower than I thought you'd give it. To be completely honest.
Well,
but,
it's like even for me, because when we think about how we graded the other press conferences in the last year, I personally felt that last year's conference and even the conference before that were better because there were more holy shit moments overall. Whereas this one, there weren't as many. And I feel like that took away from it for me, personally. And I know, like, I'm not saying that this is a bad conference, and I still think a 7.5 is still good.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, this wasn't like, FF Remake, Shenmue 3, and Last Guardian in the same fucking conference. Like, this wasn't that level of insanity, for me, anyway. So that's why I give it a 7.5. But
okay.
lastly, did you end up watching the Nintendo thing?
I watched the Nintendo thing. It was interesting. So they start off and they show off a new Kirby game. It looks cool. Looks pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Then okay, I'm probably not saying this in order, but then they go to this one dude in Japan, and he's like, "Hey guys, we have a new Pokemon RPG that's coming to the Switch. So yeah, look forward to that." And then that's that.
Okay, I will say this. That was the weirdest way of saying that yes, there's a Switch game, but I'm almost certain that the reason why they put that in was because people were so mad at them at the Direct. And I'm not going to say that I'm forgiving them for how the Direct went, but at the very least, we know something's coming for the Switch. And that was the bigger issue. The bigger issue was seeing a Pokemon game for the 3DS, and I'm at the point where I'm like, okay guys, I understand you want to support the 3DS, and that's fine, but you need to be pushing the Switch a little bit more than the 3DS, because there's a million games on the 3DS, you don't need to make any more. I'm sorry, but you really don't.
But yeah, so then after they do that, a couple segments later, they're like, okay, so we got this announcement, and then black screen, and then 4, and then Metroid Prime, and on one hand, I'm like, yes, finally a new Metroid Prime, right? I think I've mentioned on this podcast that I feel like Samus is one of the most misused characters in video games right now, because she's such an awesome character, and Metroid is such an awesome franchise, and Nintendo are like, we don't really care. We're just going to, ruin the franchise. So I was really happy to see a new Metroid Prime, but then it's like, you guys couldn't even give us a CGI trailer. Like last year, or was it 2 years ago, I criticized Sony because for me, I've never liked when people announce a game that is so far off. That we keep asking about it for like 3 or 4 years. By the time the game comes, we stop caring, right? Yeah. So I've never liked when people do that, when they announce a game too early in development. Look at Cyberpunk 2077, right? Look at the situation we're in with this game that was announced in 2013. Yeah. 4 years later,
it's quite the situation we're in right now. It's a very dire situation with Cyberpunk 2077.
So, personally, I've never liked that, right? But then, at least at least they had the decency to give us a CGI trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
They had the decency to give us a CGI trailer for Death Stranding. Realistically, we're probably going to see any gameplay of that game for like 2 years. But, you know, at least they had the decency to give us a CGI trailer for these games, you know? These guys couldn't give us anything. They gave us text. They gave us text and they were like that, yeah, look forward to this. Yeah, and just take our word.
I mean, to be fair, I get it. Like, it felt like I would have liked, like, maybe even just like an image of Samish, an image of Samus. But that being said, I'm glad that we finally have a Metroid game that's not a spin-off. It's just because that was the bigger issue for
Prime is a spin-off.
I understand Prime is a spin-off, but it's more like when you think about the last two games that came out for Metroid, it was Other M and Federation Force. And the problem with those two games is that Other M was not really a Metroid game, and Federation Force was also not really a Metroid game. They were both spin-off games. That's what I kind of mean by that. Is that Metroid in look, but not really in tone or style.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, thank God we're finally going back to what we've been wanting for so long. I mean, granted, we didn't see that much, but I'm just glad. This is here's okay. I get it. But here's the thing. I'm just glad that we finally got confirmation of something because, like, for example, this is something that it wasn't announced during the Direct, but they did announce a 3DS Metroid game called Samus Returns, which looks really, really cool. And I feel like the press for that game would have been a lot worse if Prime 4 hadn't been announced. Because we talked about this earlier, that the way that they announced Federation Force was a mistake. Yeah, just flat out a mistake. So I think them doing this for Metroid Prime 4 actually helped that game's reveal be a lot more positive than it probably would have been.
Yeah, but one thing of note, and the reason why I don't like these trailers, right? So just FYI, Beyond Good and Evil 2 got a trailer in like 2006, right?
Yeah, that fake trailer.
No. It was a real trailer from Ubisoft. Okay. It was a real trailer with Jade and some big guy sitting down, and then he swallows a fly or something like that. I can't remember.
Well, because for me, I remember two trailers. I remember the Beyond Good 2 CGI trailer. That's just the pig sitting in a desert and he eats a fly, and then it's just a teaser. And I remember the other one, which was the main character from the first one in this like Uncharted 2-esque environment, jumping around, taking pictures, and then it fading to black. And that turned out to be like a test run that never came to be.
Yeah. But the one of them sitting in the desert was actually from Ubisoft.
Okay,
right?
Okay. That I didn't know. Yeah,
so that was like legit. And then here we are, like 10 years later, and the game still hasn't come out, right? So that's why it just always makes me uncomfortable when they announce games that have so little development in them that there's not even like you can't even just patch something together for E3. That's why it makes me a little bit uncomfortable. But yes, I do agree. I'm just happy. I'm happy that Samus is coming back. It's not being developed by Retro Studios, which then begs the question as to what the hell Retro Studios have been doing all these years.
That's a really good point, because most people said, okay, they're clearly being quiet because they're working on Prime 4, right? And now that we know for a fact they're not working on Prime 4, it's like, okay, what the fuck have you guys been doing for the last, like, God knows how long?
Yeah, the last game they made was Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. So, like, in 2014. So that's 3 years ago. What the hell have you guys been doing for the past 3 years? So yeah, but no, I completely agree with you. I'm happy that Nintendo have finally taken Samus out of imprisonment and they're giving her back to us. So I'm looking forward to us talking about this game in 2020 when they finally show us gameplay. But yeah, other than that. What else was it? They showed some gameplay for the new Mario game. What else was at the press conference?
No, this was at the conference. Mario Odyssey. This was the last thing. Before that, they showed what else did they show? Oh, they showed off the Zelda DLC.
Oh yeah, that looks cool.
They showed off it's basically the Master Trials, I think, is what they're calling it. And it comes with like a hard mode. It comes with the trials, and I'm actually really impressed with the trials because I was expecting it to be like several different levels of hordes and stuff like that you'd have to fight. because that's usually what the trial of the Master Sword usually ends up being in these Zelda games. So when they showed off, it's like, no, each level is going to be like a different map. It's going to have a different environments that you can interact with. So some of them are going to be flat. You just have to kill a boss. Other ones will be like you have to kill enemies that are like in a tree fort, and you have to find creative ways to stop them there. So that I was actually pretty impressed with. And then they also teased a little bit at the other DLC pack, which is they say it's going to be more story based. And I think from the way that they showed off the trailer, I kind of went, it makes me think that it's not going to be exactly what I wanted, but I still think it's going to be cool. I think it's going to be I think you're going to get flashback sequences in which, like, playable flashback sequences in which you get to interact with each hero, because I'm not going to get fully into the story of Breath of the Wild, but there's like 4 super cool dudes that are in the story, and I think these are going to be flashbacks in which you interact with them. And I would be okay with that. Especially the Garuda. The Garuda chick from Breath of the Wild is the coolest, probably one of the coolest Zelda characters of all time. But yeah, they showed that, and then yeah, Super Mario Odyssey. I actually really liked the trailer a lot. The trailer was really cool.
Yeah.
I think the hat mechanic, I think, is going to make that game really fun. The fact that you can kind of just sort of brain control all the enemies, and then you can play Mario in a bunch of different ways. It's very Kirby-esque.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of refreshing for Mario. Overall, I think Mario Odyssey is going to be great. The other thing that they showed a little bit of Xenoblade 2.
Yeah.
Which looks good. Honestly, it's a big monolith RPG, so I'm sure it's going to be fine. I always laugh a bit because Xenoblade, for whatever reason, I'm fascinated by Xenoblade's dubbing, because they always get the most British actors imaginable. So it's because it's such a Japanese game. So looking at these Japanese, like, anime models with these really British accents is kind of weird, but kind of entertaining at the same time.
Yeah.
I guess do you want me to do my grading for the conference, or do you want to do yours first?
Yeah, you do your grading first.
Weirdly enough, I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay.
It was short. It was certainly short, but it was quick paced. I got a lot of what I wanted. I got a bunch of cool stuff. It didn't overstay its welcome. There was still a big announcement. Like, Metroid Prime 4 is still nothing to scoff at. And, they showed off a big party game, Mario Odyssey. And, I think that even though it was really short, I ended up enjoying it a lot. Like, honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think Ubisoft and Nintendo surprisingly had the best conferences, in my opinion. I think Ubisoft is better because it was longer and more packed. But
Yeah.
I liked this one for being short and sweet.
Yeah.
I guess that's
I'll give it a 6. If they had actually shown Metroid and shown the new Pokemon game, this would have easily been an 8, probably even a 9. But for me, I'm like that, and this is a key point with me. For press conferences, show don't tell, right? Like, there's nothing I hate more than someone coming on stage and telling me about this really cool game that they're working on, and then telling me about the game and telling me about the setting and telling. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
All right. To be fair, at least they didn't go. Please be excited for E3. At least they didn't do that.
But they were like, please be excited for this. They were like, oh yeah, please look forward to this game. And it's like, okay, I'd look forward to it if you could fucking show it to me. It's just, the quote unquote announcements of a new Pokemon game. Honestly, if you had blinked, you would have missed it. That's not good. This is Pokemon. This is the highest selling franchise of all time, I think.
I want one of them. It's one of Nintendo's biggest franchises.
Yeah, and people have been begging for a console Pokemon for years. And then this is how you announce it. It's like, okay, like let me put it this way for you, right? BlizzCon, let's say 2006. It's probably not, but whatever. BlizzCon 2006. The crowd goes dark. The screen goes dark. Lights come on. You see this dude with handcuffs and an orange prison gown. He walks into this place. The armor slowly starts coming onto him. As the armor is coming onto him, people start to realize what game it is, and then the crowd loses their shit, right? Then he has a cigar in, he looks at the screen, and he's like, "All hell, it's about time." His helmet closes down, StarCraft 2, everyone goes mad, right? Now imagine if, instead of that, they come in stage and we're like, "Okay, so we have a new StarCraft 2 coming out. Yeah, we'll show you about it down the line. Yeah, look forward to it, thanks."
Okay, I do get what you're saying. I do get, like, honestly, like the Pokemon one was like, yeah, I felt that one was weird for sure. I absolutely agree with you. I was fine with the Metroid one, but the Pokemon one was definitely weird. But honestly, I feel like the Pokemon, like I said before, I feel like the Pokemon wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place. I think the only reason that they put that in was because of how the Direct went.
I mean, if they didn't expect this response from the Direct.
Yeah, I know, but Nintendo, 2 steps forward, 1 step back,
Oh my god.
That's Nintendo.
But yeah, which like it sucks because yeah, like I said, if they had just given us like even just CGI trailers, not even well-made CGI trailers, just CGI trailers of both of those games, I would have easily boosted this to an 8, probably even a 9, because it's like you're talking about hit after hit after hit, right?
Yeah.
But it just had to find a way to do this in the worst way possible. So yeah,
you know what I think the part of the reason why I gave them a better score, well, 1, it was better than last year's, like, period.
This is true.
And 2, I guess for whatever reason, I was expecting a lot less because I knew how short it was going to be. So when I actually got a lot more than I expected, I was kind of pleasantly surprised. So I think that kind of affected me in how I kind of feel about the conference overall. Because I was like, oh, okay, that was a lot more than what I was originally expecting. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But I think that's pretty much everyone, guys. And if you're still with us...
Sure?
I don't know. We could just talk more about the Devolver. But yeah, so that is E3. That is E3. There's probably going to be a bunch of like spillover news that we might talk about in the next podcast. But yeah, that was our E3 bonanza. Whew, we made it. We did it.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to the length of this podcast, I'm no metronome, but unless I'm mistaken, we're looking at like 2.5 hours right now.
No, we're 2 hours and 25 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately, because of that, we won't have time to cover like the question of the day. No. It's a really cool question, by the way, Tanner. You're gonna be excited for it. We're gonna cover it on the next podcast.
We'll cover it on the next podcast, so I am excited.
Yeah. You wanna play us out, Tanner?
Yeah, I'll play us out. So thank you for staying with us in this E3 adventure. And if you got questions for us, you can leave it in the comment section, and we'll make sure to answer in the next podcast. And as always, this was your host, Room Liberty, and
was Mohammed Yusuf.
And we'll see you guys next time. Take care.